Welcome to this retro content from Throwback Thursdays, whether it's from NoDQ.com, the Jeff Meacham Network, Casa D18 Studios itself, A Simple Man's Brand, or the J. Hebert Studios, and anything to do with FTW Productions. This will be the content re-aired right here on Throwback Thursdays that you could expect to see on the Casa channel. I know watching back some of our old content, whether it's the open mic night intro where I'm laid on my bed, which I kind of cringe at, especially with this cool ass setup now, or whether it's, just about anything to do with what we have done on FTW Productions, from A Simple Man's Brand, from the J. Hebert Studios, to even some Insanity Works and Retro Wrestling Fortune 44 Incorporated stuff. There's some good stuff, there's some cringe stuff, and either way, I hope you guys enjoy that stuff coming up, and, even if you didn't enjoy it, I'll be along with you for the ride. Some of the stuff does not age well, like Jeff's content does. I know he has done a deep dive on his own content and cringed at his own self, but either way, I hope you enjoy it regardless. I know in some of these clips, I have a fondness to them. So with that being said, enjoy this Throwback Thursday, and until next time, we'll see you on the J. Hebert side.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
Casa D18 Studios, an affiliate of the Jeff Meacham Network, Multiverse of Media, proudly presents this retro content from NoDQ.com.
Welcome, NoDQ Galaxy, and we are back with the NoDQ review number 47, and I am Virtue here with the elite team of NoDQ. That consists of myself, Aaron Rift, TJS, and last but not least, Big G. What's up, everyone? And I'm going to start with you, Big G, because you got the Galaxy shirt on that has everybody's name on it.
I'm doing good, enjoying my day off. I've been binge watching American Pie series on Netflix pretty much all day, taking a break now to do this awesome review with you guys tonight.
Well, thank you. TJS, I see your beard is trying to come in. You know, you're getting better every week.
It's not quite at your level, Virtue. I must say, I'm quite envious. But it's storming its ass off currently here in Northeast Arkansas. It was 70 degrees today, going to be 70 degrees tomorrow, and then Friday it's dropping down to 35. So.
Oh wow, Burr! It was -5 here last week.
Oh jeez.
Hey, is it the headquarters of Walmart in Arkansas?
Yeah, Walmart.
Good for you. You guys got something there. Good for you. Aaron Riff, what's up, man?
Not much. I'm doing well. It was a bit cold here in Portland. I brought back some of the snow from Michigan, and yeah, Portland actually got its first snowstorm of the year. But enough of that. We got a lot of topics to cover today. We have Elimination Chamber coming up in a little over a week, so let's go ahead and get to those topics today.
All right, well, let's start with Nicholas. Wait, it's WrestleMania season, and I don't know why I remembered Braun Strowman choosing Nicholas from the crowd as his tag team partner in WrestleMania until I watched Raw this week, Big G, and I saw Braun Strowman help one jobber, Kurt Angle. Did that happen, or did I watch that incorrectly? Was I half sleeping? Did they have Strowman come out and help Angle this week?
Oh yeah, it happened. Already.
So here's my thought on it. Kurt Angle is Nicholas. I don't know if these guys are going to tag, if Angle's going to fade into the distance, but this is the joke that Strowman has become, where now he's saving Kurt Angle, who should hang him up, at least on TV. He's better than what WWE makes him, portrays him as. So when I see Strowman saving Kurt Angle, who's about to, retire or whatever he was going to say, I think it just reminds me how much of a joke Strowman has become in WWE, going back to last year's WrestleMania. Big G, what's your thoughts on that? Do you think this will be anything good?
I don't think so. I think it was just a one-time thing, hopefully. And I don't know what's going on with Kurt Angle. I don't know. I mean, yeah, you got to put over the younger talent, but not the way that he's doing it. And Strowman just needs to go back to being a dominating heel, but I don't think that's going to happen. And everybody needs to forget about him and Nicholas. And it's just too much, I don't know what else to say.
You don't think it's going to be McIntyre and Corbin feuding with Angle and Strowman?
They could have. They just had the match, and during the match, Strowman had to save Angle again by chokeslamming both of them onto the steel steps, and Kurt Angle could barely stand, and he looked at Strowman. And I hope maybe they'll have another match at Elimination Chamber. Who knows? I don't. It is what it is.
TJS, you kind of look like a young Braun Strowman there. So, what do you think about your future?
Well, I'll just say, I don't know if you guys are Batman fans, but this Braun Strowman or this Kurt Angle story reminds me of an animated film called The Dark Knight Returns, and. It's in it. Batman is just basically too old to do anything, and he struggles to climb. He's out of breath all the time, and this is just what it reminds you of. I'm not sure if this Kurt Angle thing is part of a story, like if he's just putting on these awful matches as part of the writing, but I kind of don't think so. I kind of think that WWE knows that Kurt Angle can't go like he used to, so now they're trying to turn it into a story. I'm not sure why he didn't just retire on Raw. He's a Hall of Famer. He has nothing left to prove, and we're not going to get those dream matches that we were going to, or that we thought we were going to get. As far as Strowman goes, I just remember at WrestleMania, like you said, Virtue, he chose Nicholas. His whole thing was, I don't need a partner. And now this makes like 5 times that he saved someone. He teamed with Finn. He teamed with Kurt Angle. It's just, there are so many plot holes in WWE. And Strowman should have been the guy. He should have been the Universal Champion probably 2 years ago. And now I feel like he's the next Ryback or the next Big Show. I don't see him doing anything now. I feel like he's not beating Brock, that's for sure. So I don't know. I don't know where he goes, but he's a mid-carder. And it seems like he's stuck in the mid-card with Drew McIntyre, who should also be a main eventer. And I don't know why Baron Corbin's even on TV. This guy's been rendered a joke so many times, and he still wears the damn general manager gear.
Well, I mean, he could be on TGI Friday commercials because every time I see him, I get hungry for Jack Daniel's ribs and steak. So,
hey, don't let Daniel Bryan hear you say that.
Aaron, I think Kurt Angle should have said, and there should have been no angle here or no run-ins. He should have just came out and said, I know I'm not what I used to be. I'm going to give you guys one more match. I'm going to do the best that I can in this match, and it's going to be at WrestleMania. That's going to be my last match, and then they build to whoever it ends up being to face him. Can you imagine the people after that when he does the final curtain call? It could be just a little 10, 15-minute match at Mania, nothing big. That's what they should do with Kurt Angle. Put a good opponent in there for him to put over one last time. But no, they're going to do something weird just to waste TV time. So what do you think, Aaron, on this?
Well, I feel like this storyline right now with Baron Corbin and Drew McIntyre, Braun Strowman, I think that's all just filler right now. I think it's still possible that we could see Kurt Angle in a one-on-one retirement match at WrestleMania. Maybe he faces somebody like Daniel Bryan. I think it would be cool if Kurt Angle could go. That would be an ideal match, but that's a big question mark at this point. But regardless, I feel like WrestleMania should be his last match one way or another, and it should be a singles match. As for Strowman, would not surprise me if he's in some throwaway match again. I think I mentioned this before. I'll mention it again. Maybe he could team with Nicholas again, and the running joke could be every year he teams up with Nicholas as Nicholas grows up, and then before you know it, Nicholas is 18 years old teaming up with Braun Strowman at WrestleMania.
And turns on Strowman because he gets bigger. Well, Aaron, I give you an A for effort with that, but wow. That's how we're talking. Think about it. That's what we're talking about with Braun Strowman.
Yeah, well, remember when we had Pete Rose coming out at WrestleMania, and that was an ongoing thing? Maybe this could be an ongoing joke where Nicholas teams up with him, or at least appears at WrestleMania every year as he grows up. What the hell? Why not?
I wanted to take a bump.
Well, again, it's going to be a while, but that would be interesting, right? Have a kid bump. All right, well, Finn Balor, right? We're talking about Braun Strowman's character, castrated, neuterized, whatever, neuterized. That's not even a word, but in WWE it would be. And I'd put it in somebody's promo. So the demon logic, okay, TJS, I'm going to start with you. How, if this gimmick is automatic wins for Balor, the big matches, it puts fear into his opponents, whatever, the psyche of it, the psychological warfare. Why do they not use it more? And he comes out, and I know WWE's not doing it because they don't want him to be a main player. But the fact that we've seen this gimmick before, but yet we get Fonz Balor, who can't win hardly at all as that gimmick, but we know he's got this other side that wins. That's awful by WWE for exposing us to the demon early and then turning Balor into the Fonz. Because if any random person watches his product and sees that, they'd be like, why is this guy coming out like this? He loses all the time. You got this great. So what do you think? Is it just his size? He's not a main player in Vince's eyes. So they know they have something with that gimmick, so they just bury it and never show it because he's not going to be anything. What do you think?
Well, I understand why we're not getting the Demon weekly because that would take the specialness out of it, but there's no reason why he wasn't the Demon at the Rumble. It makes no sense because he was the Rumble at SummerSlam when he faced Baron Corbin. So you have a Universal title match. And it's like, oh, no, I don't think I'll be the Demon for that. So, but it doesn't make sense, man. Because
and TJS, they could have got out of it. If he came out as a Demon and they didn't want Brock to lose, they could have had Strowman or somebody could have went out there to make that match a no contest. Or you know what I mean? They could have protected it.
Any number of things. But instead, Finn Balor looks like a complete idiot coming out as himself. And it's regular now. And in NXT, he did lose as a Demon against Samoa Joe, but that's not canon to the main roster, I wouldn't say. So I just wish they would give us a storyline reason why he's not the Demon. Like, they could say anything. Finn Balor has to harness so much energy to be the Demon, so he can't be it more than twice a year. Or something like that, instead of just like, he's the Demon when he needs it. He pulls up the Demon when he needs it. You're facing Brock Lesnar for the Universal title and the biggest match of your life, and you don't need to be the Demon. Give me a break. Ridiculous.
And I bring this up because I see him come out every week on Raw as himself, and it's just like, wow. You know, what a time to capitalize, to get fans loving something, knowing that what fans want to see in wrestling today, right? Their indie darlings get pushed. They have something with this guy, and Balor not just being his normal self, and they're not doing anything with it. Aaron? Well, wait. TJS isn't done.
He has to stop this smiling, too. He needs an edge instead of just coming up there. The difference between Ronda Rousey and Finn Balor is that Ronda Rousey can back up her smiling. Finn just looks like a complete geek.
Right. Well, so I think a good idea for Finn Balor would be for him to move to SmackDown when the Superstar Shakeup takes place in April, and maybe tweak his character a little bit. Maybe I've heard different stories. Like, one story is that the makeup takes too long to apply, and that's the excuse why he doesn't do it. But I think Virtue nailed it. I think it's because WWE doesn't want to have the Demon lose, but at the same time, they don't want to push Balor at that main event level. So therefore, we really don't get to see the Demon all that much. I would like to see him go to SmackDown and maybe have a little bit of a makeover with his character. Get rid of the jacket. Maybe wear some kind of makeup, but not go all out with the Demon. Just to change things up a little bit and evolve the character. Him coming out as the Fonz every week, to me it's boring. Drop the smile. Get a little bit more of an edge. And just tweak the character a bit on SmackDown. Give him a fresh start. That's what I would do with him at this point.
So, Big G, before you go, TJS, I don't watch NXT that often, so I forget things. They really had the Demon lose to Joe in NXT. Think about that with Joe. Well, Joe can't win a match on the main roster, but he beats the Demon in NXT. All right, take it, Big G.
Well, just to go on TJS's point, down in NXT, when they did have the takeover event, pretty much every takeover he would come out as the Demon, but like a different version of the Demon. I think one year he was like Jack the Ripper, stuff like that. And that was interesting. And I can understand the point too. It takes almost 4 hours to put the paint on. So get there a little bit early when it's a big event, like the Royal Rumble. Get there early, get what you need to do, start putting the makeup on, and then...
Well, so Danny DeVito as the Penguin in Batman Returns every day had to get dressed up like that and do the movie.
There you go. And when he's Fonz Balor, the smiling needs to go to. But like I said on Virtue's Rage yesterday, SmackDown's a good choice, Aaron. But I know it'd be a downgrade, but I think he would be better down in NXT UK. He'd be over there with his crowd, with Jordan Devlin and everybody. He could have good feuds. And the takeovers there, we could see him as the Demon. Because
you brought up your potluck topic. Then run with this. This wasn't even in our list. I want you to talk about NXT becoming its own brand. We're going to talk about that.
Okay.
You just brought that up. Now I want to talk about it.
Let me finish. I'm trying to finish my point now. Shit. Okay, so I said NXT UK.
You want Balor in NXT UK.
Yeah. And... damn, I lost my train of thought.
Well, I
1 point for Virtue.
The problem with moving Balor to NXT UK, big fish, small pond, I think.
Yeah, but... okay, now I remember what I was going to say. At the takeovers, you could have him as the Demon, because the takeovers aren't every single month, like the pay-per-views. But if he stayed on the main roster, have him at least do it on the big four, WrestleMania, Survivor Series, Rumble. And obviously we get him at SummerSlam. So I don't know. Is it like something happens during SummerSlam months that the Demon comes out and then he's the Demon at SummerSlam? I don't know. Maybe.
Well, that's where he won the Universal title, so maybe there's
he won the
there.
Universal title, and then he wasn't there the year after, I don't think. And then the one time
debate, I love it.
Was TLC when he was supposed to fight Sister Abigail, but it turned out to be AJ Styles instead because Bray was sick, and we still got the Demon though. So I don't know, was WWE like too fucking lazy to say, okay, we're gonna have Finn Balor like this dominant player, but like Virtue said, they don't want him to be a dominant player, the main player. They just want to stick him in the mid card and just leave it at that. So that's
all right, TJ.
That's my thought.
I'll come back to you about the brand thing. TJS, go ahead.
Talking about NXT becoming a brand?
No, the Demon. Or did you already talk about the Demon? Big G was so rampant on that. He was fired up, and I caught him off guard. So, Aaron, let's start with you on this whole NXT brand thing. Do you think WWE should keep portraying this as a developmental, knowing they're getting people from the indies with years of experience, and the fans that watch that product know this? Or should they just say, no, forget it. Let's make it its own brand. You have SmackDown, you have Raw, you have NXT. And we can do shake-ups and people can bounce back and forth, but let's not treat this NXT as developmental again. Because I think, like Big G said, some of these main roster people might be better off going back, but if it's developmental, then it's a downgrade, whereas if it's just its own brand, it's just shaking things up.
Yeah, but
Aaron?
like you said, it's a niche brand, it appeals to a certain percentage of the audience. It doesn't really appeal to your casual fans. So I would say no. I would say keep it as a developmental brand. It is NXT, which stands for next, after all. It's all about the next generation. And, it's about guys that are on the rise. Your young 20 to 25-year-olds, guys like Velveteen Dream that are just getting started in the business. And yeah, you might have guys that have 5-10 years experience, but at the same time, I think it's good to develop the superstars and get them used to being on the big stage, performing in front of 10-15,000 people at the takeover events. So I would say keep it as a developmental. A third brand just makes it overkill as far as I'm concerned. I mean, quite frankly, I think there's too much as it is. So yeah, I would keep things the way that they are. And if you had NXT as a so-called equal brand, would that mean you would have to make it 2 hours every week, yet another hour of television? For me, that's too much, but that's just my take on it. I'm sure Big G and TJS may have different viewpoints on that.
TJS.
Wow. Aaron, I think that the reason this doesn't appeal to casuals is because it's being marketed as a developmental brand. You have the casuals thinking, wow, this is developmental. It doesn't matter. As if it was a third brand.
I was just going to say, SmackDown is consistently considered to be a better show than Raw, yet the ratings and the TV viewership doesn't reflect that. So, I don't think that really matters all that much. I just think that, NXT is more about wrestling than developing characters and storylines. And I think that's why. I don't think it really has anything to do with it being developmental or not. I think you just watch it, and it's guys that are just going out there and doing the fundamentals. They're just going out there and doing basic stuff. And for some people, they like that better. They like it to be kept simple. But I think for casual fans, they want to see the soap opera. They want to see the over-the-top characters, the larger-than-life characters. They don't want to see a bunch of bland guys going out there and doing flips. Some people do, but it's for a niche audience, like Virtue says.
Well, that's why I think that if you made it a third brand, then it would be something different, like an alternative. So WWE could be competing with themselves, sort of, to where you have Raw and SmackDown, and then you have the third brand that's different. The three brands are different anyway. Raw is different from SmackDown. SmackDown is different from NXT. So if you just said this is the third brand, and you could, bounce guys back and forth like Virtue said, I think that would freshen things up. And, jobbers, go to places like 205 Live. Like Mike Kanellis moved to 205 Live, and it's a good spot for him. He doesn't get many wins, but I mean, at least he's getting airtime. And I feel like some guys aren't cut out for the main roster, so there should be the third brand. And like Virtue said, instead of moving them to NXT and calling it developmental, like a downgrade, make it a third brand, because Tyler Breeze had a great match with Ricochet, and you see what he's doing on the main roster. Fashion Files.
There's been times Cesaro in the past has went down there and had matches. And I guess when I see NXT and then they do the UK, Big G, I feel like they want to create territories like there used to be back in the day. So I swear, if we end up getting NXT Australia and NXT Japan, then I'm really thinking Triple H is trying to make NXT more of a territorial brand.
That's funny you said. I saw something on Facebook. I can't remember from what, but apparently Triple H is revealing more performance centers around. I don't know if it's going to be around the world, but they're going to have more performance centers.
But I get what Aaron's saying. It's developmental, and in the eyes of the casuals, that's why NXT only drew 800K on USA Network.
Let me ask Aaron. So people like the larger-than-life characters and not these just bland people who do flips. Tell me, who in WWE right now is a larger-than-life character?
Well, I would say Braun Strowman, but they've kind of dropped the ball with him, so there's that. I would say Brock. I would say Balor when he actually does the demon character, when he's out there as the Fonz. Okay. Definitely no. You can say that about Ronda Rousey. I feel like she has like that larger-than-life presence to her. Some people just have the natural charisma and personality that feels larger than life. You know, as far as the women go, I like Nikki Cross. I think she has some personality and she could be a character, but I feel like they're already dropping the ball on her. There are some people, but there are a lot of...
Drew McIntyre, I think. It's just, of course, he gets shoddy booking, but...
Yeah, all right, I just wanted your guys' opinion, because I was thinking, but to me, I don't think NXT is a developmental brand. I think it is its own brand. When they are developing characters. They do have storylines, but not like main roster.
They're more simplified. They're more simplified. And I just wanted to say, I wanted to say NXT is a brand in its own way. It's basically an indie brand. It's WWE's indie brand. You know, they're doing indie wrestling.
Yeah, and NXT UK, I mean, it's still coming up, but that's for the UK fans. You know, that's their fan base. And like Virtue said, eventually we'll probably have NXT Australia and NXT Japan, and
I'll actually pop if that happens. I will, because Mr. Pro WWE.
Lately, you've been seeing, well, on NXT UK, you've had some people from NXT being on NXT UK, having matches on there as well, and same thing. NXT UK guys going to NXT and having matches with them. So I think NXT and NXT UK are like Raw and SmackDown, but it's their own brands. The NXT brand. Even though it's under the WWE moniker, but it's NXT. And as far as, and I always say this, I feel bad for the people who go from NXT to the main roster and then they're never seen from or heard from again.
Right.
Sanity is the biggest one.
Here's the thing. They shouldn't be tweeting from home saying, if they're supposed to be this dark characters, like they're tweeting from home, like, oh, I'm just not being utilized. Like that to me ruins their gimmick.
Yeah.
I know, but
that's the problem with not having two Twitter accounts.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic we've covered.
Yeah, but they should have an option if they're not feeling like they're being used properly. Hey, let me go to NXT, or now let me go to NXT UK.
Yeah,
I'll take the downgrade.
You're about to go over your time limit here.
Right,
and you might have to move on to the next topic.
Yeah, the problem with that is that you already have a ton of people in NXT, so there's no room. Basically, WWE just has so many people under contract. Yeah, I mean, really, what you would need is like a fourth brand or a fifth brand, and like Virtue said, they're doing all these different NXTs.
One more thing, and then we'll move on to the. All right, so when Fox does move, SmackDown moves to Fox, they could possibly move NXT to FS1 and just make it an hour and a half show. Keep it on a Wednesday though, because then you'll have Raw on Mondays, NXT on Wednesdays, and then if SmackDown goes to Fridays, then your week is balanced out for wrestling. So that's all I'm gonna say.
I think wrestling shows should end at weird times to make it more believable that it's not scripted. Like, you know what I mean? It should end at 47 or 13 past. I don't know. That's just me, though.
Or not necessarily end it early, but like do the main event, end that early, and then maybe do like a series of interviews or something different. But
yeah,
then
like
again,
things are calming down. Yep.
They might be afraid people would tune out at that point, so that's why they don't do that. But I get what you're saying. Like, the show always conveniently ends right at the same time every week. So if it was real life, that wouldn't be the case. So I agree with that.
But I mean, if they're products for 7-year-old kids, they're not going to really think about that.
Past their bedtime. They got to go to bed before 10. That's why the third-hour viewership's so low.
Well, I do want to move on. But we do have some hot topics here. I want to move on to this one. Jericho, because I was going to talk about this last week and we ran out of time. Is he taking the right approach on social media by slamming WWE, more or less, and calling out specific people, Brock Lesnar? And what's the likelihood, Aaron, you're going to like this, what's the likelihood that any loyal WWE talent, when their contract expires, they do make a jump just for whatever reason? So, Aaron, I want to start with you. I like what Jericho's doing, right? He knows the game. He knows social media is huge in wrestling. He's talking trash about his former employer, trying to help put over, hey, we got this new thing going on, and it's going to be great. And you know what, Brock, you're fat. And it's funny because Jericho's got a gut. He clearly drinks vodka all the time. He's a rock star. Yet he called Brock fat. He's trying to set up a feud, even though it's probably going to go on deaf ears. So, Aaron, what do you think about that? I love it. And at the same time, I also like the fact, could John Cena end up in AEW one day? It's an opinion. Yes, he could. Hulk Hogan ended up in WCW. That answers that question. It could happen, even if it's 1%. Go ahead, Aaron.
Right. Anybody could end up in AEW, but we have to wait and see what happens first with their debut show and see if they can be consistent with their shows. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting. And going back to that previous topic, with so many people on the roster in WWE, so many people under contract, you're going to have more and more people getting frustrated. Eventually that bubble is going to burst, and you're going to see guys that are jumping to AEW. And I feel like this is great timing for Jericho, the Young Bucks, Cody, to get this new promotion started, because you are going to have a lot of frustrated people. You look at Neville, he quit. You've had other guys that have vented frustrations. Rusev has been upset. And you've had guys that have gone out there on Twitter and have complained about their spots. Which tag team was it? One of the teams, I think it was Sanity, as TGS mentioned earlier. You have guys that are clearly frustrated. So Jericho's just doing what he does best, and that's being a promoter. He's building his brand, and he's building AEW's brand, and he's getting people talking about the AEW brand. And that's what he's doing, and I think he's doing a good job of it so far. I think he knows what he's doing. So,
and he has a history with Lesnar backstage, from what we know. Like when Lesnar busted open Orton, we've had news that Jericho called Lesnar out backstage. So yeah. It would just be, I'm sick of this everybody's going to AEW thing, because I do want to see it play out. We've talked about that. But you still think, what if one day it gets as big as what WCW used to be, and Hogan went to WCW, turned heel? That was huge. What if a Lesnar got sick of WWE product, or the Khans threw so much money at him, Vince finally, because when the thing is, Vince McMahon, when he thinks you're done making him money, he won't give you what you want, right? What if that happens with Cena one day? It happened to Hogan after WrestleMania 9. Vince, for that time, was done with Hogan and Hulkamania. He felt he drew all the money from Hulk. Hulk went to the competitor. It's always possible, and I know it's 2019, and Cena's been a, WWE guy. He's loyal to Vince. If any of these big talents ever have an inkling to go to the competition, Vince will up the ante and they'll accept and stay. I just think that anybody calling anybody out is clickbait for an opinion is BS, when anything is possible in this world. That's the point I wanted to get. TJS, thoughts on this?
Yeah, I just want to say, until AEW has a show, they're a t-shirt company, plain and simple. Second, I know this isn't on the list, but Undertaker has removed all WWE references. So, do you guys think that maybe Undertaker could end up there? I mean,
I don't think so. I feel like he might be going into the Hall of Fame, and that's maybe why he's downplaying that. But I mean, we'll have to wait and see what's going on with him. You know, that's
I mean,
anything's
a very good
possible,
question.
but yeah, anything's possible. So you got to have that microscopic percentage chance. But that's the one guy that's been with Vince since 1990.
Yeah,
You know, so
that would be huge. But then again, Undertaker can't really go like he used to. But
well, he
yeah.
couldn't be Undertaker though. He would be Mark Calloway.
Yeah, so yeah, he did, yeah. But anyway, I think Jericho is doing a damn good job, like you guys said. And the difference between Jericho and some of these other unknowns that bash WWE, Jericho's name is already established. He's not like the guys that go to TNA and say, "Oh, that company held me down," blah blah blah. Jericho made it. Okay, he's a rock star. He did great WWE, undisputed champion, damn good. And now he's going to AEW, and like you guys said, he's one of the best minds in the business. And now he's stirring it up, trying to promote the brand.
Okay.
Hats off to him, as far as I'm concerned. I've got no problem with it. I like it.
All right, Big G, your turn.
Man, I don't know what else to say. You guys pretty much said everything I was gonna say. You know, Jericho is doing a great job doing what he's doing with AEW, promoting it, whatnot, trying to get into Lesnar's face, I guess, if you want to say that. Will we see people from WWE eventually join the AEW? Like we all said, it's possible, but there are other brands out there. You know, I'm not saying they're gonna go to Impact, but you got Ring of Honor, you got New Japan. Because Lesnar was in New Japan for a while too, so he could go back there too if you wanted to. But
yeah, Big G, I had a question for you though.
Aren't the Usos contracts coming up too?
Yeah, that's another thing. I had a question for you. So, if you were running AEW, would you want to bring in all these former WWE guys? Because
hell yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
Hell yes.
You're gonna say what I think you're gonna say. Go for it.
Yeah. Do you want?
Hell yes.
Do you want AEW to have this perception that they are basically just WCW 2.0, where they're just bringing in all the old guys from WWE? Do you think that's really good for their brand when they're trying to be an alternative, doing the same thing WCW did? So would you necessarily bring in all these guys, or would you maybe
for the most point
be selective?
I probably so the Usos contracts are coming up, so I would definitely bring the Usos in because they would have awesome matches against the Young Bucks. I don't
think they're going though because Roman will keep them there.
Yeah, but if you're frustrated, I don't.
Roman,
you're not going to want to stay.
They're going to stay together.
Okay,
yes,
let me ask you this, Virtue: the job you're doing now. If you were frustrated, but they offered you a shit ton of money, would you stay there or would you go find something else?
I would stay there unless that something else offered me more.
I couldn't do that because if something frustrated me at my job, but they offered me more money, I'm like, no.
Everybody's got a price. Sorry, I got to do justice, but yeah, I mean, come on.
But who else? Cena eventually. That's a possibility too. Like you said, maybe he could finally get his heel turn. No.
Heel Cena in AEW.
But yeah, anybody who's frustrated in WWE, I would assume they would jump to AEW because they probably have a little bit more character control, more creative, and hats off to them if they do because, they'll finally be happy.
Again, that's all on paper. That's all on paper, this idea that they're going to have more creative control and all this stuff. So, again, we got to see how it plays out and see if they can build the brand and keep some consistency with it.
Keep in mind, go ahead, TJS.
It's like you said, Aaron, if they bring in all these WWE guys, it's just going to be like WCW. So I think to make AEW work, it needs to be a big melting pot of guys from different promotions.
Right. I agree on that, and I feel like even if they bring in some WWE guys, which I feel they should, to help establish the brand, the important lesson to learn from WCW is AEW needs to learn how to market and develop their own characters and storylines and not just rely on all those guys. TNA was even worse. WCW did create a few homegrown talents like DDP, The Giant, Goldberg, Sting. So WCW did have some of their own homegrown guys. TNA had virtually none. I mean, they did have AJ and Joe, but those guys never really broke through, past just being guys that appealed to a very limited audience. They didn't really have that mainstream appeal. One could argue they really don't now, because outside of WWE and the wrestling fan base, like, who knows who AJ Styles is? I mean, that's an argument right there. But I think it's important that AEW can develop their own stars and learn how to market their stars and not just rely on the WWE talent.
Yeah,
but definitely bring in some of them.
They could, from the indie wrestling promotions, that aren't really well known, they could snatch people from there and make them, homegrown talent.
So here's the problem. And why I like Aaron's point, you can't, all these disgruntled people in WWE and all the fans that say they should all not renew their contracts and go to AEW. If that happens, there's only going to be so many spots in AEW. Guess what's going to happen there? The same damn thing in WWE. And people are going to get frustrated there because of egos and spots and politics. That's what happens behind the curtain in wrestling, no matter what the company. So Aaron, I like that. AEW should sprinkle in some names, help them get notoriety, but they should focus on their Hangman Pages and people like that. So we'll see. Got to talk about it all the time because that's what the internet wants.
Hey,
all right, let's talk about TJS. Go ahead.
Real quick, do you guys think that this means Jericho's not going into the Hall of Fame?
He will eventually.
The Ultimate Warrior went into the Hall of Fame.
And the next, Jericho, I could see it the next 10 years or something like that, probably.
He'll go. The Warrior's in, so yeah. All right, let's talk about injuries, because I think injuries, again, I don't remember back when I was a kid because you didn't have dirt sheets and we didn't know all the injuries that these guys worked with from show to show. But it just seems like they're at an all-time high because of the style. So here's a question. Do you think they're at an all-time high, or does it just seem like it because of the internet? Because, I mean, Seth Rollins wins the Rumble. He's out right now with an injury. Now, we know Becky's his kayfabe. Who else do we currently have on injured lists?
Sasha Banks.
Sasha Banks. There's Alexa Bliss just came back. Paige is out. I mean, it's just growing, and I don't ever remember this. And again, the style is different. Like back in the day, they didn't do all this crazy stuff. They worked a wrestling match. It was your cheesy rest holds, your punches and kicks. So if they sprained an ankle or got hurt, chances are they could work. That's why they call it work the next town, the next night. And if they had to tweak something so they could get through the match, they would do it. But now they're getting concussions. They need surgery, that type of stuff.
Right.
So Aaron, what do you think, man?
So, I mean, that is definitely one point, the fact that guys are doing a lot more riskier things than they were before. And I think the other thing, too, is guys back in the day, they would be injured. And girls. They would be injured, yet they would still work. And they would work through the injuries. And now WWE's very cautious. If somebody gets hurt, they're taken off TV or they're not put in a in-ring role. They're like Alexa Bliss, where they have the talk show segment. So WWE is not taking any chances with injuries. I think the previous generation, you had talents that would just keep going even if they were injured. Like Steve Austin, when his neck injury happened with Owen Hart, he was back in the ring, way sooner than he should have been, and he kept working. He would get hurt, he would keep working, and eventually he was out of action for like almost a year because of that. It all caught up with him. I just think that it's a different era now where WWE is more cautious, and like you said, there's more athleticism now. They're doing more crazier stunts, and that's putting people at more risk for injury. So I think it's a combination of both.
All right, Big G, what do you think about this injury? I don't know if you remember too much back in the day.
No. I remember. I do remember a couple injuries, like big time, at the Austin I remember. And I remember when Triple H tore both his quads, like one at when he was fighting Kurt Angle, I believe, back in 2001, and then the one at New Year's Revolution when he was fighting Team Rated RKO, and then when Vince blew both his quads walking to the ring, you know. But see,
He must have had an intense
like
workout session earlier that day.
And but nowadays, like Aaron said, and like I said yesterday, you know, they want to cater to these fans that want to see insane shit and insane flips and people sacrificing their lives just to make these people happy. Like I said, I don't mind it. You know, every now and then, like in NXT or NXT UK, you run on the main roster with some of the guys like Rollins or stuff, people like that. But don't hurt yourself to the point where you can't wrestle anymore to make us happy. I mean, look at Edge. His career got cut short big time. I think, doesn't Sheamus have the same thing that he had? That I can't remember the.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Is that spinal stenosis or something?
Yeah,
like that?
spinal stenosis. Yeah. And well, shit. Look at Cesaro. He got catapulted into the ring post, had his teeth pushed up, and now he's got to wear braces in the ring and a mouthpiece. I think Neville had to wear a mouthpiece too because he got his teeth knocked out in NXT at one point, I think.
Right.
So make us happy, but don't do it to the point where you're not hurting yourselves and you're gonna cost your career and you won't be able to wrestle again.
Yeah, well, I remember Bret Hart. I remember Bret Hart's philosophy of making it look as real as possible without anybody actually getting hurt, and I think that should be the goal: is to
that's pro
not
wrestling.
Get hurt. But unfortunately, we're seeing more and more injuries, and Bret Hart would, boast about how he never hurt somebody in 14, 15 years doing the main shows, WWE and WCW. So that's quite an impressive track record, and hats off to Bret, a true professional and just good at his craft,
Yeah.
TJS.
Well, sometimes accidents do happen, and it could be the smallest thing. Like, I remember when Seth Rollins tore his meniscus, his ACL, and his MCL from a sunset flip powerbomb that he'd done 1,000 times. And you got Cesaro getting his teeth knocked out. Very simple spot. He just got a slingshot into the turnbuckle. Nobody would think something like that would go wrong. And some of these injuries I don't feel like are legit. Like we had Maeve Deltzer talk about AJ Styles' hernia. It's not true because maybe it is, but AJ denied him. And like you said, Becky's injuries kayfabe. We've got Sammy and Kevin on the shelf. And
oh yeah, I forgot about them.
Yeah, I feel like the injuries have been higher before. I believe it was WrestleMania 31 when there were a ton of people injured, and it was just a really rough time.
But I mean, that's still the modern era, though. You know what I mean? But we got injuries back then. Austin, there would be people that were out, but look at Foley. He hardly missed time back then, and all the crap he did.
And yeah, it's like Aaron said.
But it finally caught up to him, though.
WWE is a lot more paranoid now than what they used to be because they have to be medically cleared now. And you had Mick Foley get thrown off the damn cell and then finish the match back in, what was that, 98?
Yeah.
Yeah. But let me stop you real quick, TJS. Nowadays, though, all sports are, health conscientious. Look at football, Virtue. I mean, I'm throwing a football reference out there, but they are really big on concussions as well.
Well, I understand it, but I don't know if Aaron will.
No.
They are really big on concussions in pretty much every sport. So.
Well, that I know.
And that's why they took away their chair shots to the head. But in return, that makes the product a little bit more boring to me because it's like Aaron said, gut shot, back shot, gut shot, back shot.
Oh, and the guitar to the back? Come on. Awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
Do you guys, I think it was JBL got a really good chair shot once in like 2004. I believe he hit Eddie with it, or maybe it was Cena.
It was Eddie.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. And I mean, I get that we're not going to get stuff like that today, but we're still getting thumbtacks sometimes. So it's just really weird. And I think it is the style, too, that's changed. Because if you look at someone like The Miz, I don't remember him ever being injured. And he hardly ever goes to the top rope or does anything fancy. It's just very
professional wrestler.
Yeah, and I think there should be some athleticism sprinkled in there, but when you got guys doing like 640 moon bombs off the top of the cage or whatever, it gets a little much. And also, there's no off season in WWE, and I think that's a big part too. Because if you get banged up, maybe you can still work, but if you keep wrestling, you're going to aggravate the injury, and eventually it's going to get worse and worse and worse.
Right, and unfortunately, the problem is that you could do an off season, yeah, but WWE will always be able to find wrestlers that will work a full-time schedule all year long. And as long as WWE can find people to do that, then that's what they're going to do. You know, they're not going to change their ways, because if one wrestler says, well, I'm not going to wrestle all year, WWE would just find somebody else.
Well, maybe switch it up, like have one brand go for 6 months, and then after WrestleMania season, you watch another brand for 6 months, so the guys can get time off, and eventually you switch the guys from brand to brand. I think that would be cool, but I doubt it'll happen.
Yeah.
Well, good points around. You know, we're going to carry on, but I just, you know, a lot of injuries. It sucks for them. All right, 1 week later, do we now have a better gauge on Dean Ambrose after seeing him on Raw this week? TJS, I'll start with you. I know you just talked, but we know what happened. He came out during the Alexa Bliss segment. EC3 was out there. Pretty witty Dean, you know, borderline babyface again. Pretty much owned that segment. Got to a match against EC3, the 1-2-3 on EC3's debut. So can we now confirm that this is probably definitely a shoot?
Well, I don't know about you guys, but Dean looked done to me. Like, he just looked like he was tired of him. And there was a video floating around. It's a compilation of Dean Ambrose just talking about how, when he had that staph infection, almost died. He talks about that, and he talks about how hard it is to go out there all the time and try to please the people. And it's, man, I don't know if maybe this is the start of a feud between him and EC3, because I don't know why they would try to ruin Dean Ambrose's character like this on the way out. But then again, I do. So it's kind of sad to see Dean go, honestly, because just a few years ago he was a major player, and now he's on the decline. I think time's going to tell. Maybe this was just one loss, and maybe he'll get his win back next week. Because they didn't just have EC3 outright squash him. He did lose with a roll-up. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, Dean looked spent. Like, he was finished. So we'll see if they keep him on TV.
Big G, I keep thinking of the Survivor Series, Rollins and Ambrose? The boring chants. I wonder how much that really, because you know they heard that from management backstage. Somebody had to, and I really think Dean might have lost passion that night. I know the direction of his heel character was difficult for the fans to accept, but the fact that he's been from the Shield, right, pretty valuable piece for WWE for several years, and Seth is over with the fans, and Dean heard boring chants. I wonder if that just said, "Why am I doing this? I need to go away." What do you think?
That might have been the final nail in the coffin for him, in my opinion. I think he is leaving. I don't think this is a work or a shoot or whatever. I think he's done. He's gonna ride out the rest of his WWE career. And like I said yesterday, if I was him, if I knew I wasn't all interested in doing this anymore, I would have stayed home. I wouldn't have come back, the week before SummerSlam. Hey, I'm going to ride out the rest of my contract. I'm leaving after WrestleMania. I'm done with you. I'm bored with my character. I'm frustrated. I'm not coming back. But, I think he's going to play it out, but they're going to make him this complete joke for the rest of his time in WWE, and maybe his final match at WrestleMania will be with EC3. I don't know.
Or Nia Jax, jobbing to Nia Jax. That would be the worst. If they did that and he was a professional and went through with it on the big stage, I don't think he would ever come back to WWE.
Hey, that
for a while.
continuity of the big pop that he got before SummerSlam. Everyone was speculating that he would be back, and then when Seth was like, "I've got a lunatic in my corner," the huge pop that Dean got, and the guy he looked to be in the best shape of his life and everything, and now I really feel like he didn't want to turn heel.
I don't think so either.
I feel like it was forced on him, honestly, and he had no say because, I mean, the Roman thing wasn't scripted.
That was a curveball for sure. Absolutely.
Well, see, I think he needed the heel turn just because he was getting a bit stale. But like you said, TGS, he was getting a great reaction. So when you do turn him heel, you need to do it the right way because otherwise, if it flops, it's hard for him to go back to just being a babyface again. You know, you did such a drastic heel turn, having him come out there and attack Rollins right after Rollins, and was crying because of what happened with Roman Reigns. That was a big deal, and it should have been huge. Ambrose should have been a top heel, and there should have been a lot more momentum from that, and it cooled off very quickly. WWE dropped the ball. Creatively, it just didn't go in the direction that it needed to go in as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, if I was him, I'd be frustrated too, and I don't know what this means for him moving forward. Of course, the AEW stuff, we always go back to that. I know people love us talking about that, but who knows what he's going to do? It's hard to say. He may just take a break. Maybe Samoa Joe was right. Maybe Rollins is going to be sitting at home and living off of his wife for several years. Who knows?
You mean Ambrose?
Yeah.
Hey,
you said Rollins, I think.
Oh, I meant Ambrose if I said Rollins.
Yeah.
There's the picture of Dean Ambrose standing in the middle of the ring while Roman and Seth are both holding up titles, and Dean just sitting there with his hands in his pockets. I mean, picture's worth 1,000 words.
You know when I talked about Dean hearing the booze, and maybe that's when he decided this. I'm not coming back. I need to take a break. The Stone Cold podcast. I mean, he really hasn't been the same since then. He was like, because I think he was put in a position to Stone Cold was prying, and I don't think Dean Ambrose is a guy that likes to tell all that stuff. I think he likes to keep his shoot stuff private, and he was a WWE champion then, and I think he was put in that spot, and it was just very awkward, and it came across bad, and I think management just kind of looked at Ambrose after that as, oh, you're mid-carder, upper mid-carder, but maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel that's a very valid point, too. I feel like that may be...
I'm going to have to go back and watch that again because it's been a while.
Yeah, it's like literally, it was just very, very weird. And you almost thought, there's no way this is a work. Austin's pressing his buttons, and he does not want to be there answering these questions. So, interesting. All right, couple weeks since the Royal Rumble. The SmackDown Women's Champion is Asuka, and the only time she's been on SmackDown was a video package. So, my theory is it's cooling down period because they're featuring this Becky story, which we're going to talk about very shortly, and they want people to forget Becky tapped to Asuka. It's the only reason you have your champion off TV, right? I mean, it's nuts. Like I said, I wouldn't have even put Becky in that match at Rumble. I would have just said she's in the Women's Royal Rumble. I wouldn't have done that whole weird booking. I get why they did it for drama purposes, but the fact that she tapped and now, and some people, obviously she wants Ronda, but why would you not want to go back and challenge the person to beat you to prove that you can beat them? So that's why it was weird with Asuka making Becky tap, and I think they're keeping Asuka off TV because they don't want people to, that's who made Becky tap because Becky's the new hero. So, Big G, what do you think, man? I just think that it's weird. It's typical WWE, I think, not thinking things out like they used to when they had the right creative team.
Well, I agree with you on that they shouldn't have put Becky in there with Asuka at the Royal Rumble. And if they did have a rematch, maybe not for the title, just have it on SmackDown and have Becky get her win back. Possibly.
I don't think you could do it without the title on the line.
Think about it. You got to think about it. I didn't think about it until earlier today. At Elimination Chamber, you're having the women's tag team titles. So who are you going to have Asuka face at Elimination Chamber? They're not going to have Asuka just stand out there and fight herself at Elimination Chamber.
Probably
they don't have any creatively storyline. They don't have anybody for Asuka to face at Elimination Chamber.
Well, but
once Elimination Chamber is over with, then they'll bring back Asuka out and have her focused on her opponent for Fastlane and then WrestleMania.
But
That's
it's bullshit that because Asuka's the champ, right? They had her beat Becky clean to a tap, but because Becky's the big story, they're crapping on their title. They're crapping on the person that has the title, and that's just classic WWE. Just they don't think things out. It's awful. That's awful.
You know what? They do have Charlotte, but I don't know if they want to do the whole Charlotte and Asuka thing again at Elimination Chamber.
Well, that should be WrestleMania, quite frankly. It should be it should be that match and then have Becky one-on-one with Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Aaron. Talk about Asuka being the champ, but yet in Becky's shadow.
Well, I mean, it's just the matter of the fact that SmackDown is the B show, and Asuka is the champion on the B show, and that's why she's going to be secondary, and Becky is going to be part of the main storyline. Charlotte's probably going to be part of the main storyline too. They're going to maybe do a triple threat. But yeah, I think Charlotte versus Asuka WrestleMania rematch from the previous year. Asuka tries to get her redemption. I think that's a good match. It's still going to be secondary to the Raw title match, but at least it'll be something. What else do you do with Asuka? Like if you put her in there with anybody else, it's going to be even more of a throwaway match. You know, at least with Charlotte, I feel like it'll get a good spot on the pay-per-view and it'll get a good amount of time. Who else could Asuka potentially face? I mean, TGS, looking at the rest of the SmackDown roster, who could possibly face Asuka that would make the match important enough to where it would be positioned high on the card?
There's not anyone. And what I'm not understanding is Charlotte came out and cut a promo and said that she wants Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania. I'm sorry, aren't you on SmackDown Live, Charlotte? Shouldn't you want the SmackDown Women's title? Why do you want the Raw Women's title? You beat Asuka last year at WrestleMania, so logically, wouldn't you say, yeah, I beat you once, Asuka, I'm going to beat you again? Instead of facing Ronda, who you can't beat, who you didn't beat, who you had to get yourself disqualified against, it just doesn't make any sense in kayfabe. And I don't think it's going to – I think it's going to be a triple threat. I don't think Charlotte's going to face Asuka, because if she was – there wouldn't have been the whole segment with Becky and Charlotte and Triple H. So
I mean, yeah, basically what we got is Charlotte is going to be the Rock to Becky Lynch's Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, and that's and another thing about it is I don't think that Becky tapping out to Asuka matters because she just won the Rumble. It doesn't make a damn if she lost in 2 seconds. She won the Royal Rumble. That puts you at the top of the card right there.
Right.
If you lost before that, that's fine. It's just like cashing in Money in the Bank. You can lose your whole way and then just cash in, and then bam, you're right back at the top. So that's how I feel about it.
Well, we'll see. Any other final thoughts before we move to the hot topic, the debate, the main event?
Don't think so.
All right. Where's Michael Buffer so he can do his little thing? Anybody want to do the Michael Buffer right now?
Yeah, but do we have to pay him?
Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages.
Yeah,
Wait, you're doing Road Dogg.
Yeah, and I think you have to pay just to imitate Michael Buffer.
Seriously?
So if we did it,
Just ladies and gentlemen, that's where Road Dogg got it from.
All right, let's just start.
For the main event.
Main event is Becky Lynch, the man, more like Stone Cold Steve Austin, which that's all of I've heard for the last several months. Or I claim CM Punk, and I've actually heard someone else argue Daniel Bryan, so I'm going to throw his name in the mix. And I think Charlotte's going to be the key. I think of the National Treasure movie. The key lies with Charlotte, right? People are going to love, and I'm going to tell you why. So Aaron he thinks that the storyline purpose, Becky's knee injury, Austin had the neck injury, confronting different forms of management. There are elements of 97, 98 Austin in this storyline. Absolutely. I am not denying that. But Stone Cold Steve Austin made all those management people, Vince McMahon especially, afraid of him. When they heard that glass break, Vince gulped. Nobody's afraid of Becky. Nobody. Even though she's sucker punching him and doing this, management is belittling Becky Lynch, the character, the man. So to me, That reminds me of CM Punk, how Triple H, the COO, you're another spoke on the wheel. Daniel Bryan, you're a B-plus player. That's why I feel when I see Becky and how the internet community is resonating towards her. Back then, it was just as the internet boom was starting with Austin, so the crowd liking Austin felt more organic. Today, it seems like it's internet fans that love Becky for the most part. But the reason why I say the key lies in Charlotte, Stone Cold didn't go to WrestleMania to fight in triple threat matches. He wrestled Bret Hart. He wrestled Shawn Michaels one-on-one. The Rock twice. Scott Hall one-on-one. The Rock again. Okay? If Becky Lynch is in a triple threat match at WrestleMania, she is nowhere close to being Stone Cold Steve Austin. She is exactly that Daniel Bryan WrestleMania 30 triple threat against Batista and Orton, or CM Punk, who never made it to the main event. So I'll save Aaron for last because I know he's got a lot to say. TJS, I'm going to start with you. I think Becky is more like CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, and a little bit of the storyline you can say Austin.
Well, is Becky filling Vince McMahon's limo with concrete or spraying people with a beer truck?
They were all afraid of Austin. They're not afraid of Becky.
And yeah, I mean, man, Virtue, I mean, I think that you're right here. It seems like more CM Punk than anything because you had management belittling him, on the mic. And it's like you said, no one's afraid of Becky because if it was Austin coming in through the crowd like on SmackDown like Becky did, they would have ran.
And I like Becky. Like me and Aaron were talking about Becky when she was getting booked crappy matches, and we were like, man, she's over. They need to do something with her.
Right.
So my passion here is I don't want her to be Stone Cold. I don't want her to be Punk or Bryan, but yet we have to talk about this. I want her to be Becky Lynch, and they're screwing it up in my opinion.
Well, I think they're doing a good job. I think that I want Becky and Ronda to main event WrestleMania, and they're really pushing her strong, which shocks me. I didn't expect her to show up on SmackDown. She sucker punched or she slapped Triple H, and these segments are drawing big YouTube numbers. Over 1 million views on both the Stephanie one and the Triple H one. But I feel like if Becky was more Austin, then she wouldn't have just slapped Triple H. She would have beat the crap out of him.
Right.
Put him in the disarm.
And she leaves. When did Austin just leave? He had to be taken out by police, but he fought every bitter way to the end until it took a bunch of police or something.
Okay. I do want to say something. So I feel it is like Steve Austin. They're trying to recreate Austin's 97 success with Becky. However, their writing sucks, and it's very watered down, and that's why it doesn't come off like the Austin 97 character. I think it's just bad writing overall. Her walking away like that is stupid. And even CM Punk, I don't think, would do something like that when he was a face. Like, CM Punk would stand up to them and would be defiant. Becky's kind of like a watered-down defiant where she slaps him and then she walks away. She should have just beaten the crap out of Triple H. I mean, I think that was definitely a misstep. Maybe Triple H cannot take bumps yet because of his injury. Who knows what's going on? Or maybe it's just his ego. Stephanie's ego, Triple H's ego, they cannot look weak on television. Whereas in 97, Vince was totally fine selling the stunner for Austin and letting everybody get beat up by Steve Austin, where now Stephanie and Triple H have to look strong and they can't show too much weakness. So that's kind of how I see it. And I feel like with Becky Lynch, like if she was going to be CM Punk, she would be dropping more pipe bombs and saying stuff, breaking the fourth wall. That was CM Punk's thing.
Well, she's trying to on Twitter. It's just not she's not doing it on TV.
I wish they would. Like the stuff she says on Twitter, that's entertaining stuff. Say it on TV. We don't get enough
Remember
of that.
my line about Jacksonville? Could you imagine Becky Lynch telling Stephanie, well, you better not suspend me or I'm going to limp because of her knee. I'm going to limp all the way to Jacksonville. They need to acknowledge this, to get the
Yeah.
Oh, God, that would be such a good line.
Right, and even remember when Cena referenced TNA? Like he said that he could pack up his things and go to another TV show, brother. Yeah. That was on Raw. That was during the CM Punk storyline. So yeah, I agree with you. That would have been a great line. Would have made perfect logical sense. probably a lot of casual fans would not get the reference, but the hardcore fans would eat it up. So,
Aaron, Aaron, you made the point of the segment with Becky and Stephanie being like the segment with Vince and Austin, where he was telling them to listen to Reason and everything. You're right about that, man. It was a complete clone of it. Throughout the whole segment, Stephanie was like, come on, Becky, just see the doctor. And Vince, the whole time, he's like, we care about you here at the WWF. We don't want you to be hurt. And then you get the stunner, and then you get Becky beating her up. But like you said, it's watered down because Stephanie pushed Becky off of her. So
and hurt her further. That would never have happened with Austin.
Yeah, Stone Cold.
Big G, I know you're waiting to chime in on this. And like I said, the key lies in Charlotte. The answer lies in Charlotte because Stone Cold would have never went to Mania to be in a triple threat. So that, to me, if Becky and Ronda happen one-on-one and goes on last, I will say, okay, the Stone Cold philosophy now kind of came together.
At Virtue.
If that doesn't happen, I'm going to say, told you so.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah, at Virtue, the other thing that Becky said on SmackDown is she said she doesn't trust anybody, which is the same thing Austin always said, don't trust anybody. So that's the same parallel right there. But anyways,
Triple H also used the word martyr, and that was the big word that went around with CM Punk back in the day. Yeah, saying.
I mean, you could definitely. And I do like the idea of having layers with Becky Lynch, not necessarily just copying one guy. Like, take a little bit from Austin, take a little bit from CM Punk, take a little bit from Daniel Bryan, and then make her own character. But yeah, I saw too much of Austin on that Raw episode.
You know what? If they should have made Becky portray anybody, and Big G, I know you're sitting there in the batter's box here. It should have been probably what Michaels was like in the 90s backstage. We never really got to see it. We only heard how Michaels got away with whatever he wanted with Vince. Somebody that was around that scene back then and Michaels could be involved with this too. They should make Becky's on-screen character like Michaels' backstage character in the 90s. That would be different. We never got to see that necessarily. So we wouldn't be saying Austin, Punk, Bryan. It could be this whole new, this is you, Becky. Because Michaels, I guess, backstage was one of the biggest egotistical politician a-holes. I'm not wrestling Vader. I'm not putting Mankind over this or that.
Hey,
man.
I really like that idea, Virtue. You could have Becky come out there like, I do whatever the hell I want, Vince. If you want to fire me, then these people are just going to chant my name anyway. Everyone's going to be talking about me.
And Becky could do a super kick, too.
Yeah, I saw a Paul Heyman promo where he was like, Vince couldn't have fired Brock Lesnar. He just couldn't have because everyone in the world would be talking about it. So I think, I really like the idea of Becky going off script or whatever and then coming out there doing shoot promos. And that would make her different from Austin. I like it.
Big G.
Man, finally. Damn. Well, to begin, I am sick and tired of people comparing Becky to Austin, CM Punk, even Daniel Bryan, and they need creative writing needs to get their head out of Vince's ass, come up with a completely new character for Becky, and stop making all these references to Stone Cold and CM Punk saying martyr and saying you don't trust anybody. Let Becky be on her own person, and people would cheer for her. It's organic as it is already, but it could even be even bigger than Stone Cold. It could be bigger than The Rock. It could be bigger than CM Punk.
But do you remember what Becky's character was before? She just made puns and talked about fire.
But, okay, like I said, make it a new Becky. Give her a little bit of an edge, but like Becky style, Use that
what she does on Twitter. What she does on Twitter, but put it on television.
Exactly. Use that. But just stop. Stone Cold is in the past. CM Punk doesn't even exist anymore.
Oh. Phil Brooks. Okay, yeah, you're right. Phil Brooks.
It's just so frustrating. Like I said, they need to get their head out of Vince's ass and come up with something different, original,
right?
And stop.
They don't have the creative team to do it.
Right. See,
I would be very. Go ahead, Aaron.
I was just gonna say, I feel like she was organic before, but now it's starting to feel forced, and that's the problem with the WWE writing. I'm wondering what I'm going to put for the headline of this video. Should I say WWE ruining Becky Lynch's character, ? And then people on Twitter say, this ain't it, Chief. And then they'll say, delete this and unfollow me, unfollow, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, they say that, but they come back for more. They thrive off of that.
And, Big G, to touch up on what you were saying, I think that the problem is that the writers, Vince and the writers, saw that Austin's character was a big draw. Punk's character was a big draw. So they're afraid to take chances, and they're just trying to replicate the past success. That's the problem with WWE altogether.
Good point.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to me, the biggest argument was I get the Stone Cold references, but I guess because we're more recent to like the CM Punk era and the way the fans reacted to CM Punk and to Daniel Bryan, hey, it's our Ring of Honor boys getting pushed in the main event of WWE, yay. Where back in the day when Austin got over, it was his fans loving, they hated their jobs in real life. They loved seeing a character go against his boss. So there's layers that they're trying to do. Big G, I like what you said. Becky Lynch should be the next Becky Lynch, not Stone Cold, not CM Punk, not Daniel Bryan. But the problem is WWE doesn't have anybody that that realizes that. They don't. Yeah. And this is where I'm going to bring it up like I do time and time again. I don't know if 2019 Vince Russo could help Becky Lynch's character if he worked for them, but could you imagine 1997-98 Vince Russo? Becky Lynch, if it, translate that to today, Becky Lynch would be the next Becky Lynch. You know what I mean? Because back then, great writing helped. I didn't say made. Helped Stone Cold's character get platformed. Helped The Rock, right? Helped Mick Foley. They started Foley with the Three Faces of Foley, a transition off of Mankind. Then he became, Mick Foley at some point to win the WWF Championship because it was great creative that knew how to help the talents and expose the best part attributes of each one of them. They don't have that today in WWE. They don't have the right creative team. They're always hiring. There's always something on LinkedIn or whatever trying to hire writers. That's because everyone they've hired suck.
Pretty much.
So that's all I got. And we will probably get a lot of talk in the comments for this, especially from you, Noah. He always puts about 10 or 15 in a row there. So we're looking forward to that. That's all I got. Let's go around and do our plugs. Big G, I'll start with you.
NoDQ.com/Big G takes you to my Twitter page. And I looked. Apparently, TJS has 282 followers to my 222 followers.
Ooh, we got a war. Let's get that closer.
So that's that. NoDQ_Big G on Instagram. Jeff Feltall on Facebook. NoDQ.com/shirts. Everybody's got a shirt on today. I'm wearing the NoDQ.com Galaxy shirt. NoDQ Review, NoDQ Video, NoDQ.com. And that's it for the Big G. TJS, take it away, buddy.
NoDQ.com/TJS takes you to my Facebook page. Add me there. I posted some fan art that Kayfabe Candy Ass drew, and a lot of people are saying that I look like Jack Black, Braun Strowman, and Samwell Tarly from Game of Thrones. So you go there. I've got the 4 pictures. See for yourself. And for Twitter, at NoDQ_TJS, follow me there. Sometimes I live tweet because wrestling's boring sometimes, and I feel like looking at my phone instead of watching the product. And like I say every week, NoDQ.com, discuss section, comments, interact there. There's a lot of discussion going on there. So,
all right. Well, it's a pleasure to be on with the Bearded Bandits today, as always. I guess that's our new name for you guys, the Bearded Bandits. How about that? All right, so I do want to plug Wrestling Trivia Challenge, the season finale with Greg and Mark. That will be going up Friday. We will be doing a YouTube live premiere at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific time. So make sure you guys tune in, watch live to catch this epic showdown between the Wrestling Trivia Challenge champion and the winner of the tournament. And we will be there. Many of us will be in there. I'll be there. Caitlin will be there. I'm sure Virtue will be there. Big G, TJS, Greg will be there. Mark will be there. So we're going to have pretty much almost the entire NoDQ team in the chat room for that. So come join us for a great chat. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm sure Noah will be there too. Simple as that. We're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be a fun time. 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific this Friday. Wrestling Trivia Challenge season finale. And that's all I got.
In my challenge to the entire NoDQ galaxy, watch that. Make it the most viewed Wrestling Trivia Challenge video of all time, because I'm currently in that spot with the debut where Jeff Meacham kicked my ass, and I don't want to be in that spot anymore. So make this video the best WTC. Is that what it would be? WTC?
Yep.
Episode of all time. So that's all I got. I am Virtue. You can follow me on Twitter at NoDQ_Virtue. Also NoDQ.com/Virtue. And that's it. So we will see you next week. So for Big G, for TJS, and for Aaron Rift, see you next time.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
Casa D18 Studios, an affiliate of the Jeff Meacham Network Multiverse of Media, proudly presents this retro content from A Simple Man's brand.
It's Wrestle Kingdom. It leaves you in awe. It leaves you on the edge of your seat. You can tell how tired I am, botch. And it literally went the distance when you consider the kickoff was at 2-something, and it's currently 7:35 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. A over 5-hour-long show, practically as a whole, and it did not disappoint. And this was just only night one. But now we know what awaits us night two. Hello, everybody. I'm just a simple man, and my name is Noah Foster, and welcome to this simple take, where I will just be running through the results and my brief thoughts and overall takeaways from the first night of the 2-day Wrestle Kingdom 14 special, as well as providing a score update to my friends and challengers in the Team of the DQ Predictions League for the IWGP Championship. So with that being said, I'm just going to go right into it, because I'm going to keep it short, sweet, and simple, because that's what these are. Just simple, thoughts and takeaways and recaps. So, our first match, of course, was the, I guess you could say, Young Lions Showcase. You had Yuya Uemura, Yoshitasu, Tamaki Homa, and Toge Makabe versus Alex Coughlin, Clark Connors, Carl Felix, Toranari. You, of course, had a team that was heavily representing the LA Dojo, and then you had the other team that represented the New Japan Pro Wrestling Dojo, as well as New Japan Pro Wrestling vets, including one brought under Tiger Mask himself. And in this match, Toa Honare actually got the win for his team and also picked up the win overall. So with Toa Honare, who's always trying to prove a point, I mean, he still believes, for example, he should have been involved in G1, and because of the matches he was involved in last year, he called it basically the C block of G1. I'm sure now he has a strong stint to provide why he should be involved in G1 Climax 30. I mean, he was involved in the New Japan Cup, even though I think he lost in round 1. Someone can correct me on that. But I sense bigger things for him, and great win for his team. Nice, subtle opener. Following that, we had Yuji Nagata, Blue Justice, and Manabu Nakanishi versus the team of Tenkozy from the World Tag League in Satoshi Kojima and Hiroyoshi Tensen. And again, this was a strong back-and-forth competitive bout. Obviously, there was some bad blood here considering what happened during the World Tag League, and obviously one team was going here for redemption. And they got it. And of course, I got my favorite spot. Excuse me. Satoshi Kojima, he, of course, chopped the hell out of his opponent. There was at one point I thought that Blue Justice was going to roll the eyes and break someone's arm, but it didn't happen. Tenkozy got the win here in a nice, fun opener. Now, as far as what I see for all four of these men, they're already legends. They're going to continue to show them what New Japan Pro Wrestling is all about and lean in the future. It's as simple as that. I really don't see any of them contending for gold per se, but with Satoshi Kojima endorsing the likes of Shingo Takagi, it would not surprise me, for example, if Blue Justice endorses somebody. Or hey, maybe Shingo Takagi can take on Blue Justice since he wants to continue taking on heavyweights. Only time will tell. With that being said, we go into Wrestle Kingdom, and our opening match was Jushin Thunder Liger's retirement match number 1. What an incredible gathering of legends, rivals, friends, enemies, and they truly brought all here, and it felt like a real fight, as Jushin Thunder Liger wanted it. We had Jushin Thunder Liger being accompanied by Tetsumi Fujinami, the Great Sasuke, and Tiger Mask with El Samurai, and we also had them versing Norio Kaisano, Shinjiro Otani, Tatsuhiko Takiyawa, apologies if I screwed up that name, and of course the Funky Woman himself, Ryusuke Taguchi, with Kuniaki Kobayashi in their corner, and the special referee for this match was Norio Honaga, who of course is no stranger to Jushin Thunder Liger at all. But what really surprised me here was kind of the finish. You would think they'll be in this feel-good match and stuff like that. Team Liger would win. Not necessarily Liger picking up the win for his team, but I figured Team Liger would win. That did not happen as it come down to the end. Probably got the biggest pop. And by the way, it's nice to know that these guys really, none of them have lost anything. We got all the classic things, including the face scrapes, El Samurai, still a bit crazy, diving off the top rope, showing up in his half mask. The Great Sasuke was incredible seeing him in the New Japan ring. But anyway, keeping it simple, Team Liger actually lost, and it was Liger that ate the pin. It was the Funky Woman himself, Ryusuke Taguchi, picking up the win for his team. You really wonder, though, if this is going to lead to anything. Of course, Taguchi being a former IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, heavily influenced by Jushin Thunder Liger, as all of us, I'm sure, were, whether you're a fan or wrestler, etc. Most people's wrestling arsenal was brought because of Jushin Thunder Liger and when he started. And, of course, in the end, it was a feel-good moment. Jushin Thunder Liger, he thanked everybody. He thanked the over 40,000 attendants at Tokyo Dome. Congrats to New Japan Pro Wrestling on that. And also, of course, he got the ring to himself, but also got raised up. It was a beautiful, touching way to open the show, and really a great way to keep people happy. Before I continue, don't let me disparage this. Stardom, of course, had their exhibition, but unfortunately, I have not looked on the websites yet. I am literally coming off, as it went off air. That's why you see on the TV right there, blue screen. I literally am just going off pure thought as I was just invested. But I have to imagine this. Stardom, I mean, it's the biggest venue they probably competed in or showcased in. I imagine they had a fair amount of the audience there, probably more than they normally have, and I'm sure they had a great match, and I'm sure that Mayu Itami and Arisa, they set the crowd, a nice little opener, a little awareness for Stardom. I really do hope for bigger things for Stardom with this Bushiroad partnership, but they're going to have to do more than this and actually show us some stuff, either through NJPW World or open a wing on Stardom, like, cross-promoting. But we'll have to wait and see. I do hope to see more of them come in the later months. Maybe as soon as, I don't know, Wrestling Dontaku? Hey, maybe the New Beginning. Why not a New Beginning? Start showcasing Japanese women's professional wrestling under New Japan? Why not? But we'll have to see what happens. Following this, we had a basically faction battles and also hype for the following match come day 2. First match, of course, was LIJ versus Suzuki Gun, Bushi, Shingo Takagi, and Evil and Sonata versus El Desperado, Taiji Minoru Suzuki, and Zack Sabre Jr. There were basically a couple key things to take away from this. Shingo Takagi versus Taiji, I want to see that again. When these two got in the ring at one point, there was literally an exchange of lariats, because that's Shingo Takagi's strength, and of course, kicks by Taiji. And of course, Chris Charlton got his favorite spot. The pants came off. I need to get a pair of those. And Minoru Suzuki, he's still full bitter as ever. Suzuki Gun running chaotic as ever. And of course, Gino Gambino was at the mercy of Minoru Suzuki when he took his chair in the end. In the end, though, it came down to, of course, being about what this really was at the forefront. Sonata and Zack Sabre Jr. as they prepare for their match on day 2. And the two had a nice back and forth exchange, but at one point it almost seemed like he was about to be locked up in a submission, and then Sonata tries to lock up, Zack Sabre Jr. in the Paradise Lock, but fails to. He does lock up, I believe, El Desperado in the Paradise Lock, Milano approved. But in the end, Zack Sabre Jr., he submitted a member of Suzuki Gun, not Sonata, by the way, I believe it was Bushi, to the same move that he tapped out, verbally I might add, Tomohiro Ishii to win the Rev Pro British Heavyweight Championship at last year's Wrestle Kingdom. Hence the shirt in my corner. I'm waiting on my new one. Anyway, I thought this was a really good match. It was a great way to hype up Zack Sabre Jr. and Sonata. Great way for Zack Sabre Jr. to build some momentum after losing to Bushi as well. So there's the continuity right there during the Road to Tokyo Dome tour. But with that being said, we know what's coming. It's going to be Sonata versus Zack Sabre Jr. on night 2. That will occur at midnight Eastern Standard Time. Basically for the Rev Pro British Heavyweight Championship. But I am really curious what will happen if Sonata wins it. But I digress. Anyway, the following match of that, it was of course Chaos versus Bullet Club. It was Yoshihashi, Toru Yano, Tomohiro Ishii, and Hiroki Goto versus Chase Owens, Yujiro Takahashi, Bad Luck Fale, and Kenta. Salute the man, Kevin! Friggin' salute the man. I'm not saluting the Rogue General. Come on now. Anyway, this match, though, of course, the story at the forefront was Hiroki Goto and Kenta. And it carried over after the match was over because those two had an intense stare down. Pretty sure they still hate the living crap out of each other. But there was some interesting moments in this match. First off, glad to see that Tokyo Pimp, he was fine. And Peter looking like, basically like Sienna, I thought, with the kind of like showgirls type peacock setting. And then, of course, she does her interpretive, I guess, what they call it? Interpretive dance to tell the story of the match. I think she got that story wrong. Because in the end, as we called it during the predictions video, the Tokyo Pimp, he ate the fall with a GTR by Hiroki Goto. But also, there was some fun hilarity with Toru Yano trying to take advantage of Bad Luck Fale. At one point, he tries to pull off one of the turnbuckles named Sarah. I guess we never learned the name of the other one. At least I didn't hear it. But in the end, it was Team Chaos that picked up the win with a GTR by Hiroki Goto on the Tokyo Pimp, Yujiro Takahashi. Now, is this a sign of things to come for Kenta in night 2? Because Hiroki Goto, he has a pretty good track record winning the Never Openweight Championship at Wrestle Kingdom. He took it off of Katsuyori Shibata, and he took it off of Minoru Suzuki. Can he do the same thing to Kenta? I don't know at this point. And at this point, Kenta is not even really about the belt. He just hates Hiroki Goto's guts, I feel like. So Kenta's kind of indifferent. But again, he also wants to show you Kenta's style of pro wrestling, even if he is Bullet Club. So I'll be curious to see how that goes. With that being said, I guess you could call that being the undercard because, boy, when it came to the title matches, it seriously picked up. Our first title match was the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Championships between the Guerrillas of Destiny and Finjuice. Finjuice, of course, being a surprise of the World Tag League, win the whole thing, including being GOD during that. And of course, that allowed them to ask for a challenge for the IWGP Heavyweight Championships after beating Evil Sonata in the finale. Still can't believe they did that. Then you got GOD, who's been all over the world defending these titles ever since winning them. And yet, they have yet to successfully win at Wrestle Kingdom. It has now been, I believe, 7 years now that these titles have changed hands. It has been a recurring trend. And it happened again here. I admire David Finlay, though, in his tenacity and resilience because his shoulder got messed up. He survived a lot of the power moves and countered a lot of moves, including a super power bomb into a Hurrana. And in the end, Finju's combination with Left-Handed God, not once, but twice. God proving their tenacity. And of course, Master Heater playing his role at ringside, providing an arsenal of moves, including a candlestick at one point, for God's assistance. But in the end, David Finlay, he picked up the win for the team. And Finjuice became the new IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. A first for them. Congratulations. And I'm glad to see that Juice Robinson actually won a title match and was involved in a title match too at Wrestle Kingdom. He really did deserve it, but also to David Finlay's credit, since being out since February and coming back through the World Tag League, he really has reinvigorated himself and has brought really Juice Robinson up as a whole. To think these two aren't even a part of anything. One of my friends suggested they should be a part of Chaos, but I guess for now they're just going to keep being NJPW main unit, despite they've been tagging with Chaos in the past. But we'll see what happens. And as far as GOD goes, they had an amazing run with these titles since, I believe, was it the Honors Rising Tour? The New Beginning, the New Beginning Tour. No, it was Honors Rising, because I remember they held the titles. But with that being said, I'm curious now to see what's next for GOD, and will they ever break this stint, per se. Obviously, Bullet Club, they have not had a good night up to this point. And it didn't really get any better, because that was really it for Bullet Club. They went 0-3. Not a good night at all. But, with that being said, sorry, I just spoiled the advance later, but you already know if you watched it. The next match, it was 15 minutes of intense, paced, planned brutality, per se. The IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship match between Lance Archer and, I'm not doing Justin Roberts because my voice is shot, Jon Moxley. Texas Death Match. The only way you could have won this match is if you knock out your opponent for a count at 10 or a verbal submission. There was no DQs, no countouts, no pinfalls. And these two brought it all. Jon Moxley, of course, coming out first. He tries to throw 8 chairs to the ring. They bounce off the ropes. Surprisingly, not really. But then you got Lance Archer coming out, stuffing out Mad Max, it seems, ready for war with trash can lids. And of course, everybody dies. He knocks out everybody ringside. I don't know what it is about the young lions and stuff being at ringside. Knowing Lance Archer's coming, he's just going to punch you in the mouth. But these two had a very incredible physical bout, I thought, for what they had at their disposal. We, of course, had chair shots galore, chair shots thrown in the face. We had basically, what they call it, a detour type interceptor by both men at one point during this match. There was candlestick shots galore. Jon Moxley destroyed a candlestick over Lance Archer, who almost badly botched his ELP type tightrope walking spot. But I think he pretty much was aware that Jon Moxley, he had the candlestick. He was like, oh shit, I need to prepare for this. So he got down the apron and he ate a candlestick to the point Jon Moxley destroyed it. But these two just beat the living daylights out of each other at this point. Because even after going through multiple chairs for the face, blackouts to chairs, Jon Moxley still getting up after nearly being suffocated by a bag, still flipping out Lance Archer. Lance Archer applying the Everybody Dies claw, and it still wasn't enough to keep Jon Moxley down for a 10 count, nor get him to verbally submit. It was towards the end that Jon Moxley won, doing a paradigm shift, not through a chair like he did earlier again, but head first, and apparently this busted Lance Archer open through not one, but 2 tables, himself included, back first. But somehow he was able to reach his feet and regain his IWGP United States Championship. Now, this doesn't surprise me for a number of reasons. One, it's been rumored that Lance Archer, he may be leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling, as well as others per se. He thought about, Impact. He's seen what AEW, though, is bringing and what it's capable of. And right now, he's just not sure about his place in New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's a big deal. I mean, look at Michael Hogan. He went to Impact, and he's doing stuff. So, there's that. But also, you have to consider this. We never got a finality to Juice Robinson and Jon Moxley. And this was the original plan for King of Pro Wrestling. However, Mother Nature prevented that. And as New Japan Pro Wrestling states, if you cannot show up to defend your title, you are officially stripped. Period. So, with that being said, I'm kind of glad Jon Moxley won, and he even affirmed this because now the following day, he puts an end to all of this. It's going to be Juice Robinson versus Jon Moxley for the IWGP United States Championship. One way or another, this rivalry will end. And either Jon Moxley will take this title back with him to AEW, because he sure as hell isn't done with New Japan Pro Wrestling yet, or Juice Robinson, he might leave a double champ and finally get his full game redemption. Only time will tell. But I thought this was a really fun match. But then you get into what truly made this card. I know in the past with Sakinas they had like, what, double main events? This one truly felt like a triple main event to me. And it was proven right here first with the two that wanted to steal the show in the name of junior heavyweights. What cannot be said about what was showcased between Will Ospreay and Hiromu Tanahashi? First off, the entrances. Hiromu Tanahashi wearing the most outrageous jacket I've ever seen in my life. But there was also some subtleties with Will Ospreay's entrance as he got like some cat fur per se, basically denoting, I've already beaten you, I've already made you very much the next trophy, okay? Because he's so comfortable now against Hiromu Tanahashi. It's like, you know, he feels like there's no challenge, but he wants the challenge. And Hiromu Tanahashi, he brought it as he tried to fall back on past history, including a sunset powerbomb off the apron, but also his neck suffered multiple times during this match. But I think a moment of this match was definitely when Will Ospreay tried to go for one of his specials, and in the end, Hiromu Tanahashi, he caught him, turned into a suplex. Will Ospreay landed on his feet. Will Ospreay then went after Hiromu. Hiromu froze him, but Will Ospreay literally makes it through the ropes perfectly, and then he rebounds off the ropes again and actually pulls off that diving move. I forget the name of it. Sasuke special, Sakura special, someone help me with that. But then you go further in this match and you're wondering, as Hiromu Tanahashi put it, I am not dead. I am alive. Again. He really had to bring out something new, I felt like, to beat Will Ospreay, because in the end, Will Ospreay hit not only the Os Cutter, but the Stormbreaker, and Hiromu Tanahashi kicked out, much to my surprise. I thought after the Stormbreaker, Hiromu was done. And then Hiromu pulls out, of course, the Dynamite Plunger and the Time Bomb, and it still wasn't enough to keep the Aero Assassin down. This match had a nice slow pace towards the beginning, but then it really picked up as I expected it to. Definitely was a main event worthy classic. And in the end, Hiromu Tanahashi, he won, as I expected, because during the road to Tokyo Dome, he didn't win a single one of his matches. He even ate the fall in one of those matches by Robbie Eagles, the other half of the Birds of Prey. But somehow, someway, the ticking time bomb completes his redemption and his return 500 plus days later, and I thought I would never even see him again in wrestling. And he is once again with Mr. Belt as IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. It was a match to remember, and I can only imagine now what is going through Will Ospreay's mind as he's probably proud of what he's done with this division and with the title, but does he want it back, or will he move up to the heavyweight division? Only time will tell. But LIJ, they got the gold back, and Hiromu Tanahashi, welcome back. And I still want to know what the name of that new move was where he literally dropped Will Ospreay off the side, it looked like of his leg, and over his neck and head. That was ugly. But speaking of ugly, you talk about a match that took a slow, methodical, kind of uncomfortable at times, but also at the edge of your seat approach. The first half of the Double Gold Dash setup picture. Tetsuya Naito versus Jay White for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. Jay White coming in here as champ. Tetsuya Naito, he's coming in here because, again, this is his destino. It's all or nothing. If he loses here, that's it. He's done. And as one of my friends put it, he might never even get the heavyweight title again, or even want to go for it at this point. Because again, Naito set up this whole idea of holding both titles at the same time. He didn't expect it to go through this avenue. But here we are. In the end, what I believe was over 30 minutes, and Jay White is constantly one of the best, I might add, that I've seen when it comes to counter-based wrestling, and really just manipulating the crowd to boo the hell out of him out of the building. But Gato, he got his fair share, and of course shenanigans aside where the ref gets knocked down, we get the dreaded low blow, and Gato tries to get involved, and he gets low blowed, and then Jay White, he tries to take advantage with multiple Kiwi Crushers, and I don't think he ever hit the Blade Run, which probably was the difference maker here. He tried to get the ref back in the ring, and it didn't work. The story here, though, really picked up when, after a ref distract spot, the leg of Tetsuya Naito was compromised, the knee I might say, by Gato with a chair, wrapped around the steel ring post as well. Ouch. Steel sandwich with knee in the middle. And basically that was the story of this match because as Jay White kept working on the leg, including an inverted figure 4, a Muda lock, and even trying to Irish whip him, Tetsuya Naito's leg gave out. But somehow, someway, the Stardust Genius, he digged down deep enough and pulled out not one, but 2 Destinos and regained the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. Once again, allowing his destino to still be alive and potentially set up what could be a Wrestle Kingdom 12 rematch. Or even, dare I say it, G1 Supercard rematch / Dominion rematch. Oh my gosh, he and Kota have faced each other so much. I worry about their necks. By the way, a lot of men's necks suffered during this night, especially Will Ospreay's when freaking Hiromu Tanahashi pulled out not one, but two freaking Canadian Destroyers. One of the most overused moves during the show, but out of nowhere, it looked beautiful and brutal. But I digress. Anyway, bad night for Bullet Club as they went, like I said, 0-3. Sorry, Jay White. So, no double gold dash for him. But then we go into the main event, and, you know, it's like I said, Kazuchika Okada, he believes that he truly is the strongest champion in NJPW history. And the only title that matters is IWGP Heavyweight. It was proven here. But he wanted to bring something out in Kota Ibushi because he wanted to truly see if Kota really wanted this title and really deserves to be in the main spot. Boy, did he prove it. First off, I like the revamped musical entrance for Kota Ibushi. And I also loved the overall just king entrance, per se, of the Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada, sporting a brand new robe that pretty much made him look like a glowing deity that couldn't be touched, as he's now known as the king of sports. And it was proven here, with these two going nearly 40 minutes, I believe. So it starts off subtle and simple, they're exchanging back and forth, and then they go out to the ring, and Okada, he controls Kota Ibushi. He works him over on the guardrail. But then there was one point during this match where Kota Ibushi, he literally delved into something I don't think I've ever seen before to this degree, to the point I don't know if he was even there. No emotion, no awareness of what he was doing, risking disqualification. At one point, though, he gets a stiff kick on Okada. It's like the first moment of the match where it's like, okay, Kota's got the striking game down. But of course, Okada, he follows up with freaking lariats back and forth and then drops Ibushi. But towards the middle of the match, as he was trying to bring out more in Ibushi brought it and nearly got disqualified as he literally almost KO'd Okada and then kept punching him literally, and you could hear it, square in the head, clenched fist, which is illegal, I might add. But this match was just sheer brutality. It didn't take one, it didn't take two, didn't take three, didn't take four, didn't take five, I counted. It took 6 Rainmakers to finally put down the Golden Star. But the Golden Star came so close, including pulling out multiple last rides and power bombs. He put out Kamigoye, couldn't do it. Pulled out Bumaye, couldn't do it. He countered Kota Ibushi's drop kick per se until Kota Ibushi literally drop kicked him underneath the chin after going for a second Bumaye. And then Okada, he literally just had enough of Kota Ibushi. And at one point, you know, he screams and gets that stern look where he grits his teeth and it looks like his eyes are glazed, but he's aware, I need to win, I need to finish this, I know what I'm doing, I'm in control, I have wish control. But of course, Kota Ibushi, he follows up with his own Rainmaker, and I couldn't believe it. Pulls off some death-defying moves here with the beautiful Golden Star triangle movesaw, almost lands himself in the freaking barricade. And at one point, where he gets a follow-up strike that drops Okada with a vicious clothesline, he literally just collapses. Both these men at one point just collapsed in the middle of the ring. There were so many spots where I was like, Kota could do it. Kota could actually do it. Even though I picked Okada, Kota literally had me believe in him. But it just was not enough to put down the Rainmaker. So there you have it, folks. On night 2 in the Double Gold Dash finale, it is literally a Wrestle Kingdom 12 rematch. He couldn't do it before. He wants to do it now, bigger than ever, to solidify his legacy. Now he has the opportunity. It will be Kazuchika Okada, IWGP Heavyweight Champion, versus IWGP Intercontinental Champion Tetsuya Naito. Double Gold Dash, title for title, winner takes all. We also learned that we're going to get the finality between Juice Robinson and Jon Moxley. And we'll see what happens there as we continue to discuss and speculate the rumors, per se, on potential partnership between AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling. And we'll also see how that comes ahead, what happens as a result of the ace in New Japan, Hiroshi Tanahashi, versus the Painmaker, Chris Jericho. Not to mention, though, you gotta consider how disappointed Kota Ibushi is. You saw the end of the match. He was also hurrying. But you also got to see how furious Jay White is. But, he did call out saying there is a spot for you in Bullet Club. He's going to try and play off more of that come tomorrow night when he faces, in the specials match, Jay White versus Kota Ibushi. What's going to happen during that? Who's going to get the momentum? Is Kota going to eat losses both days? One of these men is going to. I can't imagine either of these men doing it, but something has to give. I just don't see this going to a draw. And like I said, as far as Destino, Okada may seem unstoppable, but Naito set this up. And he deserves this, in my opinion. And I hope, come the end of Wrestle Kingdom Night 2, it will be an LIJ roll call with Tetsuya Naito holding both the heavyweight and intercontinental titles. With that being said, those are my brief thoughts on Night 1 of Wrestle Kingdom. I thought it was an incredible experience. Let me go ahead and, spoiler alert to Team NoDQ, let me go ahead and open up the score update so far for Night 1 in our league. Chris Cash, you got 3. You did the worst. Cindy, you got 5. I got 7. Good brother Chris, you got 4, bro. Oh, wait. I need to update that. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. I need to... I really wish Microsoft Office was better with formulas, but I digress. Anyway, Chris Cash, you got 4. Cindy, you got 5. I got 8. Chris Willis got 5. Chris Mace got 7. James the Archangel Hebert got 6. And Mark Reviews, you're tired of me so far with 8. So we'll see what happens as we head into day 2, where the card once again will be a never overweight 6-man tag team championships gauntlet featuring a threesome from each faction New Japan Pro Wrestling, including the champs, which of course just represent NJPW main unit as a whole. We'll also have the second Choose a Friend of Liger retirement match, and now with Hiromu Tanahashi as the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. It would not surprise me one bit if Choose a Friend of Liger endorses these guys in the future and they win again. And necessarily Choose a Friend of Liger doesn't need to win, he just kind of makes the fans happy, so it doesn't surprise me one bit if Choose a Friend of Liger loses that match. We then got our IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship match between Roppongi 3K and Bullet Club. We got the Rev Pro British Heavyweight Championship, where Sonata doesn't care about the belt. It's a clash of styles. I say long as Saberism. We will see what happens. I just don't know if Saber can make Sonata tap out, considering Sonata almost locked him into Skull N post-match. We also have, of course, the United States Championship, which now will be Jon Moxley defending it against Juice Robinson in what will be the finality of this feud. Will Juice live as a double champ? Only time will tell. Honestly, I don't see it happening. We then, of course, got Kenta versus Rocky Goto for never openweight title, and because I still believe some point this year we might potentially get Katsuyori Shibata, never say never, versus his old friend Kenta for this title. 2 wrestlers going at it for the wrestling title per se. I want to see that. That's why I think Kenta's going to retain. And as far as the special matches go, I just have to say this. Jay White, he knows how to bounce back, and he's a man that believes in his own hype and usually backs it up. That's why I can actually see him doing everything he can to win this. But Kota Ibushi, he proved something and unleashed something that people have never seen before. And it's why I believe Kota might go over on the Bullet Club leader. This might be a really bad start of the year to Bullet Club, in my opinion, just as a whole. And then as far as Hiroshi Tanahashi and Chris Jericho, I say let him in. I think he's going to that Forbidden Door, and I think the Ace is going to win. And of course, who I think is going to end the night as the first Double Gold Dash IWGP champion when it comes to NJPW's top 2 titles. I believe that Naito will finally claim his Destino, but only time will tell. With that being said, it was an absolute amazing first day for Wrestle Kingdom and an incredible start as a whole for NJPW. Show from top to bottom, when you look at it as a whole, it gets an A from me. Simple as that. I can't point out one blemish. I know people are going to be a little bit about, oh, they're just recreating Okada versus Naito, and it's going to have the same ending. You don't know that. Sometimes in NJPW, it can surprise you when you least expect it. And we'll see what happens. But again, NJPW is my number 1, and I say this show was A. Simple as that. And I can't wait for night 2. But with that being said, I am done here for now with this simple take and review and brief thoughts on Wrestle Kingdom Night 1. So thank you for tuning in. What are your thoughts on Night 1? What was your favorite match? What's your biggest takeaway? Any questions, comments, please let me know. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, tell a friend. Hit that bell to know when the next video goes live. Hit the subscribe button to support me and know when the next video will be here too. Greatly appreciate the over 100 subscribers I have, and I think near what is it now, 5,000 views? It's just been fun being a content creator, because in the end, it's not about me, it's about wrestling. Simple as that. But with that being said, if you do want to know more about me, know this. I'm just a simple man. And if you haven't figured out by now, I am a lifelong fan of wrestling. Not just sports entertainment. Wrestling, professional wrestling. And that is what NJPW is definitely a leader of, if not the leader. So if you want to talk to me about anything, wrestling, pro wrestling, sports entertainment, etc., the 5 brands of WWE, NWA, Ring of Honor, Impact, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Stardom, independent wrestling, sport pro wrestling, folks, and more. Look me up on Twitter, NoDQ.com/know it takes my Twitter page, or follow me on Instagram if you want, at Enfoster916. I'll give you a hello. I'll show you some nice food that my family and I make because I like food. And also I'll give you simple moments that are usually like wrestling stories or just in and out looks of my life. Just a fun, welcoming personality for you. So both Twitter and Instagram at Enfoster916. Follow my silly YouTube channel if you wish at youtube.com/user/NoahFoster210. You'll find all sorts of wrestling content here. Everything in nicely organized playlists for you. There's reviews, recaps, more simple takes, one-off specials, predictions galore, and more right here at this YouTube channel. At the heart of my series, hashtag 205 Life Matters, which will continue through this year. I will be getting back together with the holiday Chris Mace, if time allows us to review, of course, this past week's episode. Also, if you haven't figured it out by now, support NoDQ. They're the reason I'm in YouTube and decided to become a content creator. I took a chance, I met them, they encouraged me, now I'm doing it. Forever and dead to the NoDQ family. Thank you, Aaron Riff, Tyler, Virtue, everybody, and the NoDQ Galaxy. So buy a shirt, buy a mug, buy a tapestry. Just do it. NoDQ.com/merch to the store. Follow NoDQ on all your social media platforms. Your opinions matter. There's a comment section on everything. Polls, columns, memes, gifts, reviews, recaps, polls, sexy female pics. None of Peter, sorry. You name it, it's there. Primarily wrestling from WWE, a little bit of independent wrestling in AEW. Stay tuned as I will be back after Night 2 to provide another simple take and overall review conclusion of Wrestle Kingdom weekend as we prepare for New Year's Dash and the start of NJPW's 2020. And I will be back with a simple extra on that as soon as I learn what NJPW's New Year's Dash holds in store, because they will not announce anything till bell time. And I'll also be back after that with another simple take. And as always, good luck to everybody in Team NoDQ also. I always got, respect. As always, I like to close. Support your wrestling outlets big and small. Let's keep growing this incredible, diverse, unique, elite wrestling community together. Simple as that. With that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. Please, as I said before, like, share, subscribe, comment, tell a friend, hit the bell to know when the next video is going to go live. Hit that subscribe button, greatly appreciate it. And until the next video, I hope you do enjoy Wrestle Kingdom Night 2. And if you haven't already, please go back and look through Day 1. And I'd love to hear your further thoughts and what you think's next for anybody. The winners and the losers. Because a lot changed here, per se. But also, some stuff might be coming to an end for all we know. As we know it. But until the next video, take care, enjoy life. Tomorrow's never guaranteed. Enjoy your families. Enjoy wrestling. There's so much more than ever. Anybody can become a fan, and there's gotta be something out there for you. Just take a chance and go find it. And until next time, it is currently 8:10 a.m. Saturday morning, January 5th, as I prepare to finally get some sleep, as I prepare for midnight to watch Wrestle Kingdom Night 2. So until next time, I hope you all enjoy the first weekend of the new decade and new year, and have a good night. And good day, depending on where you are. Simple as that. A history-making weekend has finally concluded as we finally close on this 2-day Wrestle Kingdom special. Boy, did it leave you with something to remember in more ways than one. Hello, everybody. I'm just a simple man, and my name is Noah Foster. Welcome again, once again, to another Simple Take, which is basically my brief recap, reviews, and overall thoughts as we finally look at the closing to Wrestle Kingdom weekend. This, of course, was Wrestle Kingdom Night 2. With that, I'm just going to get right into it because there's a few things on my mind and a couple of questions that some of my friends, as well as some theories some of my friends brought up that I also want to discuss that could have some potential realistic outcome for the future. So first off, we start off with the pre-show. We had the 6-man Never Openweight Tag Team Championship Gauntlet. We had, of course, the champs defending against faction trios from all the factions in New Japan. It first started off with, the the faction of, and it wasn't the champs actually. It started off with the Chaos faction of Robbie Eagles, Tomohiro Ishii, and the headhunter Yoshihashi. And they kicked off against Bullet Clubs, Chase Owens, Bad Luck Fale, and the Tokyo Pimp Yojiro Takahashi. Apologize if I screwed that name. No Peter, sorry. Anyway, I guess you have prior obligations. This was a nice, fun back and forth. It started off a little while. Robbie Eagles mostly controlling the early front. Then Tomohiro Ishii gets the hot tag. And, of course, he faces the guy that has the second strongest pinfall record of 2019 in the Crown Jewel, Chase Owens. And they have a small scuffle, in which case Chase Owens, he tries to challenge Tomohiro Ishii to do his own game. Didn't work out. As Tomohiro Ishii, he pinned Chase Owens to eliminate Bullet Club. Once again, the losing streak of Wrestle Kingdom winning for Bullet Club, it continued as they have not gotten a win yet. 0-4, I believe, up to this point. Anyway, following this, the third team to come in, all hail the Holy Dark Emperor, led by Taiji's own voice himself, you know what I mean. It's Suzuki-gun, my faction, and that was the team consisting of Yoshinobu Kanemaru, El Desperado, and Taiji. Basically, in this moment, though, we had, of course, Tomohiro Ishii and Taiji. They mixed it up, once again renewing that rivalry. Yoshihashi was mostly on the apron, but Robbie Eagles was mostly a lot in taking a lot of the blunt punishment in the ring during this stint especially. But he somehow catches a surprise roll-up win, and his first win at Togodome, probably one of the biggest pinfall wins of his career, on the heel master, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and they eliminate Suzuki-gun. Chaos continues. 2 teams to go. So who comes in? Is it the champs? Nope, it is LIJ themselves. Los Ignobles de Japón, the team comprising of Evil, and Shingo Takagi, and Bushi. So these 6 guys, they go at it, and of course things really picked up when we pick up a rivalry where it seems like they're just destined to fight each other forever, it seems, as Evil and Tomohiro Ishii, they mixed it up in the ring. And everybody went wild. At one point, Robbie Eagles, he eats a suicide dive. These two, Tomohiro Ishii and Evil, they are literally lurking each other, suplexing each other, withstanding everything possible. But, in the end, Evil, with Darkness Falls, ends Tomohiro Ishii. A bit of a redemption, per se, after he lost an incredible match last year at... excuse me. I believe, what was it? It was A New Beginning. Excuse me, no, it was Dantaku. My apologies. And, hey, they advanced and Chaos was eliminated. But mad props to how far Chaos went, which of course just led one faction left. The champs themselves, who apparently they only defended the titles, I believe, 4 times last year. Yeah, that needed to change. So, basically, we have the champs of Toki Makabe, Toriano, and, of course, Funky Woman himself, Ryusuke Taguchi, coming off a pinfall win of Drusen Fronter Liger from Night 1. And, of course, right out the gate, what tries to happen? Toriano, he tries to get a surprise roll-up. Of course, his antics all aside. But things really broke down immediately because, you know, LIJ, they're no nonsense. And Shingo Takagi, he really picked up things for his team going up against challenging freaking lariats, it seems. I always love that, by the way, when it happens. But eventually, Togi Makabe and Shingo Takagi, they're just trying to challenge each other. Oh, who's got the stronger arm? Well, Shingo won that exchange in the end. But it didn't matter because the tag to Ryusuke Taguchi and a referee distraction later as he tried to win with the same move he won from Night 1 didn't work. He ends up eating mist in the face after a referee spot causes Bushi to take out one of them. I forget who. And basically, after a miss spot, Taguchi, he eats a pumping bomber and Made in Japan, and LIJ becomes the new 6-man never overweight tag team champions. I was personally okay with this because I believe they'll do more with the titles. And hey, Evil, who had a really rough year but tried to break out as himself in the singles, going through the G1, trying to get the certificate, challenging Tomohiro Ishii. It's nice to see something positive come up for him. And now he has gold. And so does Shingo Takagi, who broke out as a junior heavyweight last year and became heavyweight. He went through the G1. He had an epic clash later on during the Destruction Tour with Hiroki Goto, and had one of my favorite matches last year against Will Ospreay after basically running the entire junior heavyweight field. Glad he's got some gold. And then you got Bushi, where people kind of seem indifferent to him, but he challenged Will Ospreay for that WGP Junior Heavyweight Championship last year, and he also pinned the British Heavyweight Championship last year too. So fair is fair. I believe all three of these men, they deserved it. It was a nice pre-show opener. There was a nice 25-minute reprieve, and then we get into the main card. First off, hashtag thank you Liger. We kick off with Joseph Thunder Liger's official last match in his wrestling career. I still can't believe I said that, but it's true. We, of course, get Fujiwara himself. Why everybody claims I got the armbar. Chris Jericho claims that he's one of the best all around. This is the grandfather of the armbar, alright? Respect Fujiwara. 70 years old, too, my God. Anyway, he came out, of course, to be in Joseph Thunder Liger's corner, which assists of longtime rival in Joseph Thunder Liger, Sanu. Apologies if I screwed up that name. I have not had sleep for the last 48 hours. And, of course, his partner, Joseph Thunder Liger. Before that, we get the team of Ring of Honor TV champion Rhea Lee and the new IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion in Hiromu Takahashi, the Time Bomb himself. And these two, they come out with a little bit of respect. They have roots going all the way back to the time in Mexico. It was a little bit sketchy at first. Some people even asked me, do I believe they would work properly together and not cross each other? I believe they were going to, because look at the bigger picture here. What's the goal here? Beat Jushin Thunder Liger. But here's the thing. If you look at the post-match interviews from night one like I did on NJPW Roast Twitter, you'll know that Hiromu Takahashi, he wanted to fulfill a promise. He got the title, that was one half, so he hoped for the fearsome Joseph Thunder Liger, the best Liger he could possibly get, because that's what he wanted. And in a way, he got classic Liger, and you could see the look on his face. I wasn't sure if he was serious, indifferent, excited, etc., because Jericho teased it could be Ultimate Liger, which, as you all know, is the white and gold Liger. Kind of sad I didn't see that, but oh well. And anyway, this was a fun opening tag match and a great farewell. Basically, what happened during this match is, at one point, though, things really turned. In the beginning, it was Joseph Thunder Liger and Rhea Lee. That was extremely fun. And by the way, Joseph Thunder Liger is 13-1 in matches in the Tokyo Dome. He was handed his first defeat freaking last night, okay? Just saying. By the way, this is being recorded 5:53 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Wrestle Kingdom 14 officially concluded. But anyway, following this, Hiromu Takahashi, he gets in, and he and Liger, they have a great back and forth bout and stalemate. But things really picked up an interesting point when Rhea Lee and Hiromu Takahashi tried to take a 2-on-1 advantage on Liger and attacked him. And this really got the crowd booing them heavily. But anyway, you fast forward a little more in the match. Sano, he still got it, man. He pulls off an insane top rope missile dropkick spot, takes out both men. But in the end, it doesn't matter, because towards the end, we get just for Liger gets some momentum, and it's Liger versus Hiromu. This is what Hiromu wanted. He even called out, give me that Liger, give me that fearsome Liger. I think he got it to an extent, but here's the amazing thing, and I kind of expected this, but still, huge endorsement feather in his cap. Hiromu Takahashi pins Jushin Thunder Liger with the Time Bomb. Time Bomb 1, by the way, not 2. And basically, he endorses, I feel like, Hiromu as the future. Now, here's the one thing that bugged me about this whole night. My freaking stream crashed. Their servers got wrecked or something for like 15 minutes, so I didn't see, like, okay, as soon as the bell rung, he won. So I was just waiting, what the hell? Come on. So I'm just refreshing my stream and network, going for the Japanese bit for a little bit, and that didn't come in, then it finally did. And then all of a sudden, my TV, it snapped back in place on the English stream, because I cast. But, from my phone. But anyway, because Roku has that capabilities. It was a really good match, and I did get to see, of course, Liger leaving with his running mates, /rivals in Sano and Fujiwara, which was a really nice, fun farewell. I can't wait to see his retirement ceremony at New Year's Dash, and a huge return comeback so far for Hiromu Takahashi. Conquering Will Ospreay, earning back Mr. Belt, and pinning Joseph Thunder Liger in officially his last match. Boy, I'm going to miss that entrance in fame. At least I got it on my iTunes playlist. But I digress. Really fun opener. Following that, we go into the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships match between Roppongi 3K, Sho and Yo versus ELP and the Bone Soldier, Taiji Zamora. You all know what this rivalry stems from. Basically, in this match, though, the one thing we all wondering, where was Rocky Romero? He wasn't at the pre-show. He wasn't on commentary during the pre-show. He wasn't in the opening of the pre-show for commentary, even though the Romero special was used by Jesus Thunder Liger during that match. Well, now we know. And he brought out that weird giant fire extinguisher, I guess you could say. He was with his boys, and he accompanied them to the ring. But he also kind of led them pretty much to the end results. But this match was really, really fun. Had some great spots. You, of course, have ELP, who is a king, it seems, of showboating, but sometimes usually backs it up. As at one point, he did a moonsault rake to the back of Show. I'm like, why did you do that? And, of course, both of them got in the corner spot where they have their opponent hanged up, and ELP and Taiji, they literally stomped the frijoles of both Show and Yo in respective corners. But things really picked up going forward when the ELP got the better of Show and literally pulled off former Bullet Club leader, I might add, move, Styles Clash. Phenomenally pitch perfect. Still was not enough to get the win. Rocky Romero was also at ringside ELP. He took him out, much to Gino Gambino's happiness. Anyway, as we progress further down this match, Show and Yo, they regain control, but then the ref, he gets knocked out. They try and do a belt spot, but Rocky Romero, he grabs the belt, and as ELP tries to go for a low blow, Show was wearing a cup. Yep, I haven't seen that since, I believe, Kurt Angle and his so-called wife back then in Impact Wrestling and TNA tried that same stint. And basically that led to ELP hurting his hand, but also following that, it led to Roppongi 3K's first ever Tokyo Dome victory, and they become the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champions with the help of Rocky Romero, who told us afterwards he had the plan all along with the cup, King of Sneaky Styles per se, and they win with a combination sock arrow double stomp on ELP, with Show pinning him. An incredible moment, incredible first, but fun, fast-paced, great action. I really enjoyed this match. Now, the thing is, though, Bullet Club, they lose another set of titles, and they're now 0-5. They still have yet to win at freaking Wrestle Kingdom. This could be one of the worst Wrestle Kingdoms to date, as one of my friends pointed out. This hasn't been that bad up to this point since 2017 for them. But I digress. Anyway, a great win for them. They once again got the titles. They got their trophies back. Now they're on top of the junior heavyweight division, and Chaos got more gold. So good on them. I'm curious to see who challenges them next. Following that, we go into a really fun sleeper match for me, because this was nothing but back and forth mat wrestling. It was beautiful. It was Suzuki-Gun's Zack Sabre Jr., the current Rev Pro, I'm just going to say, British Heavyweight Champion, versus Cold Skull Sonata. Really, I looked at this match almost like a British Browns match per se, because really it looked like every round they were just going move for move for move, counter for counter. You think about in the early opener, it was just about, okay, who can I gain control of my opponent? Can I grab them per se? Can I ground them? Because, you know, Zack Sabre Jr. is all about the submissions game. But Sonata, he's also technically sound too. This was a match of technical wrestling. And at one point during, I guess you could say, round one, it was a stalemate as neither man could really gain grit over the other. Sonata went for the Paradise Lock even, couldn't do it. And Zack Sabre Jr. tried to go for the Octopus and his Hello Special and all that stuff. Couldn't do it. Towards the midpoint of this match, though, you could tell Zack Sabre Jr. was getting frustrated because he couldn't get the advantage. He pulls off a Cobra Trish, but then Sonata, who has the strength advantage, while he kept on wailing him, Sonata, who seemed very calm and composed in this match, much more, I believe, than his matches with Okada, per se. I think he came in here with a much more calmer demeanor. Then again, he even said he didn't really care about the belt, so there you go. That's why Zack Sabre Jr. trusted that belt more than anything. But anyway, as we kept moving forward on this match, Jr., he gets distracted, he gets really frustrated, lets his emotions get the best of him as Sonata controls the ring. But then he comes back into play, and Zack Sabre Jr. gets a little bit of control over Sonata, grounds him. These two are going roll up for 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 roll up at one point for nearly a G1 Climax 29 opener finish, where Sonata got Zack Sabre Jr. in the same time move. Didn't happen. We go for the European clutch. Didn't happen. Zack Sabre Jr. beat him with that move back at, I believe, the G1. But anyway, this match really came down to who could just get their opponent down enough. Because up to this point, Sonata has owned Zack Sabre Jr. in all his singles matches, in pinfall victories. Has not tapped him out. Same could be said for Zack Sabre Jr. He has not done the same thing for Sonata. He finally broke the jinx here. So, it was a really good match, and in the end, Zack Sabre Jr., he won literally with a European clutch towards the very end after they once again exchanged roll-up for roll-up for roll-up. And even before this, Sonata, he literally disoriented Zack Sabre Jr., rolled him around the ring and trying for a roll-up. He really was going for his strength here and how he's beating him in the previous matches. Pinfall victories. But in the end, the submission master himself relied on his mat game and locked down Sonata for 3 seconds, and Sonata loses, which was a surprise to some people, I'm sure. But again, Zack Sabre Jr., he is British pro wrestling. One of the best today, if not the best technically sound British pro wrestler today. And that title and him are like meant for each other, in my opinion. I was not surprised one bit. It was a really great match, though, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So following that, we go into a score to be settled, as Jon Moxley defends his IWGP United States Championship against Juice Robinson, who won Tag Team Gold the following night, but he knew he had this match coming. But my biggest thing was looking at the post-interview, his back seemed messed up. So I was wondering if his back was even going to hold up during this. And his back took a lot of punishment, but he also gave a lot of punishment to it. As soon as Juice Robinson gets to the ring and sees Jon Moxley, don't wait for the bell. He tries to take full advantage of Jon Moxley, who went through a Texas Death Match previous night, 15 minutes of hell, as commentary put it. But in the end, it wasn't enough for Jon Moxley to gain advantage. And by the way, Taika Hattori was the ref for a bunch of these matches, and this was also Taika Hattori's Tokyo Dome send-off, as he's basically leaving and done too. He's done with his career as well. So, mad respect and thank you to both Juice and Liger and Taika Hattori to everything they've given to professional wrestling. Especially Taika Hattori being a ref for over 40 years, I believe, for New Japan Pro Wrestling. Anyway, going through this match, though, Juice Robinson, he delivered a lot of power spots, including but not limited to a suplex off the top rope, other suplexes as well, once again working the back, but Jon Moxley, he worked over the back. At one point, these two were exchanging chairs. But as you fast forward towards this, I guess you could say kind of hateful bout per se, as you know, these two go all the way back to their time in Florida, and obviously Juice Robinson wanted to win, but Jon Moxley, he said it, all or nothing. Going into Tokyo with everything, or leaving Tokyo with nothing. He left with everything, as he survived not one, but 2 left-handed gods, and also left-handed god through a chair that impaled him in the face early in the match, though I'm pretty sure that probably screwed up Juice Robinson's hand, which probably led to the other 2 hands of God, left-handed god being weakened. He got Juice Robinson with not one Death Rider, but another emphatic one where he lifts him and plants him in the ring with a double underhook DDT, and Jon Moxley retains the IWGP United States Championship 1, 2, 3. The score is settled, and Juice Robinson, he's still one half of the IWGP Tag Team Champion. So, nothing to be ashamed of in his game. So, as we move on from there, I'm wondering what's happening next, and then I see the lights go out as Jon Moxley declares his statement. I hear the music. Oh man, this made me so happy. I'll admit, I marked out. There, I said it. I'm a wrestling fan. I marked out. I have dreamed of this match and dreamed of this match and dreamed of this match. Now it has potential to happen. I feel it's going to. The United States title. The King himself, Asaninare, Minoru Suzuki. He comes out and lays out Jon Moxley and then says, "You want to fight me? Oh, no. I'm going to fight you, and I'm going to take this from you." So it looks like one of our first feuds coming up in 2020 is literally Jon Moxley versus, you heard me right, the King himself, Minoru Suzuki, for the IWGP United States Championship. With the amount of punishment, brutality, psychological warfare that these two bring alone, there is no doubt what depths these two are going to do to put each other through hell in this once-in-a-lifetime dream match, and I cannot freaking wait. And as Jon Moxley, he regains his composure, Minoru Suzuki is already long gone. He's just wondering what the hell happens. It would not surprise me one bit if he comes out during New Year's Dash. And this really makes me excited because people are questioning Minoru Suzuki. Is he leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling, going back to Pro Wrestling Noah because he's unhappy? And then there's been a lot of questions about several of the talents in New Japan Pro Wrestling regarding their happiness and contracts and such. I think it's safe to say Minoru Suzuki, he's got at least one more program that's keeping New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I think he's going to remain there for the time being. Why someone declared there might be dissension in the race of Suzuki Gun, for example. I think we're okay. Anyway, moving on from there, we go into a bout that was definitely more about hateful spite, emotion, and feeling, as we go into the never openweight championship picture with Hiroki Goto challenging Kenta. Hiroki Goto, of course, history favoring him as he's had a strong Tokyo Dome record as well as number of reigns for this title. Then you have Kenta making his Tokyo Dome debut, basically taunting Hiroki Goto at every turn and basically holding over the fact that he attacked Katsuyori Shibata, who, of course, Hiroki Goto, he's very close to. In fact, it was said that Hiroki Goto has even been going through training regimens with Shibata ahead of this match to prepare for Kenta. And these two beat the living shit out of each other, as you expect with the never openweight title, because it's a throwback to, as they said, of true pro wrestling strong style. Y'all know who I'm talking about when it comes to that as well. And not just the wrestler Katsuyori Shibata. Anyway, these two, the living dance of each other. At one point, they are just constantly exchanging. I was wondering who's going to get the better of this. And then Hiroki Goto, he literally knocks out Kenta, I thought. But before that, Kenta, he almost got a near... What is it about New Japan Pro Wrestling and near falls? It's like one of the greatest strengths, but it's also one of those things that keeps me under my seat, but can cause anxiety with me. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. As we go through this match, he does get in by the count of 19. Kenta, he's controlling the ring. He's absorbing the hatred of the crowd, quickly becoming one of the most hated men in New Japan Pro Wrestling. I still don't think he's as hated as Jay White, but that's just me. Anyway, as this match progressed, again, these two are just constantly exchanging, and at one point towards the end, these two are literally slapping, open hand palm slapping each other to see whose will break first. Open slap palm strikes and chops. Well, guess what? Kenta's did. In the end, Kenta, he tries to lock in Hiroki Goto in the game over. It wasn't enough, and Goto, he overcomes Kenta, pulling off not only a GTW to a near fall, but it wasn't enough, but he also gets the win, and once again becomes the IWGP Never Openweight Champion, pinning Kenta with a GTR. He put Kenta to sleep. Another loss for Bullet Club. Yes, I have hiccup. Sue me. Anyway, this was a really competitive match, but it really surprised me because I'm like, okay, so Hiroki Goto once again is never openweight champion. How long is this reign going to last? Does he really need another reign? And then you look at Kenta, who really didn't care about the belt, but it's like his first goal. It's his Tokyo debut. God endorsed him as a future, and he loses. It's just been a horrible Wrestle Kingdom up to this point for Bullet Club. They were 0-5 or 6, lost count. But I'm curious to see now what's next for Goto and Kenta. But as we progress through the night, I think you all know what's next for Kenta. But speaking of progression, they also highlight a little bit of the big events for the scheduled year of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Of course, we have coming up in February the New Beginning Tour, which will occur in Sapporo and Osaka. We also have, Shingoku Lord coming up in March. We also have the 48th, yes, you heard me right, 48 years in this promotion's history, God bless it, anniversary show. And of course, we also have the return of the New Japan Cup. But what was interesting following this is G1 Climax 30, I might add. It's going to actually take place through the fall, autumn season, all the way into October because of the Olympics that are occurring from Tokyo. And the torch runner is going to be freaking Kazuchika Okada. So I thought that was very interesting. And of course, they're going to have so much more. They didn't talk about like a U.S. event per se, like the G1 Supercard, because of course they don't have Ring of Honor anymore. And they didn't really talk about much more besides that. Oh yeah, and of course Best Super Juniors as well. And they did talk about, I'm just trying to remember everything, because you know it's in Japanese. They did talk about also Dontaku. It will be back as well in May, as well as Dominion in June. So of course we have all the additions to look forward to. A rescheduled G1 Climax. So the summer season is going to be very interesting. And of course, all of our classic Grand Prix, starting off with the New Japan Cup and Best of Super Juniors. I hate hiccups. Anyway. Damn it. Excuse me. Getting back into the show, we finally get into more meat of the card, per se, the top 3 matches. And it starts off with the specials singles match from the two, I'm not going to call them losers, all right? I'm going to call them runner-ups, because they left everything out there in the ring. As we had Jay White versus Kota Ibushi. Of course, Jay White, in his post-match interview from night one, he says he's going to deliver a very dark, personal, painful message. And he literally just can't accept the fact that he lost. And even points out how he thinks y'all aren't laughing. I expect y'all to be laughing the fact that I'm not going to be your double champ. Because y'all don't want me to be your double champ. As he kept proclaiming. Anyway, this match, though, it went longer than I expected it would, because considering that these two men had a total of 1 hour between their two matches night one and got brutalized, they took their bumps and they ran with it. Of course, Kota Ibushi, he gets brutalized at first and taken advantage by Jay White, literally getting hanged up over the guardrail and being the outside ring used to Jay White's advantage. Of course, Gato's also in his corner. But then Kota, he goes to that place where he doesn't exist. Basically, he's emotionless. He doesn't feel anything. He doesn't feel pain. And as Jay White's trying to figure this out, and he keeps striking him. What does Kota do? One shot, he literally knocks him out. And I thought, okay, well, he's dead. Anyway, as Kota regained basically his inner personality, towards the middle of this match, we get a ridiculous, my gosh, that man's neck's got to go through more suffering than anyone else, I think, in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Super Uranagi from the top rope, but it wasn't enough. And then, of course, multiple snap suplexes. Of course, he's working over Jay White's neck. Gato tries to come and play here a couple of times. And then, as the match progressed, we get a throwback to, y'all remember the cleaner, right? Kenny Omega, one of his friends. Yeah, Kota Ibushi, he pulls off a V-trigger out of nowhere. And then he immediately, ref gets, of course, knocked out, Mari Asami. And as Kota Ibushi, he has him down for a win for a fall. He's still disoriented, so he just brings the ref back in the ring. Doesn't matter. But anyway, I was watching this match that really told the story of the lengths Jay White would go to win and the desperation I felt like he felt like here. Excuse me. I must say, Kota, he goes to that dark spot again. It looks like he's about to kill Gato. And it looked like he did, as Gato just, one of my favorite flops. He just literally falls per se. But anyway, excuse me. These hiccups are really annoying, people. The match basically ends after Jay White, he throws everything at him. Not only a chair flung to his face where Joey Styles would say, hello, but also you get the idea that he's willing to do anything as Gato finally knocks him out with some brass knuckles. And then following that, Straight Jacket Blaze Sunday, a shout out to one of the former Bullet Club leaders you might remember, Prince Devitt, Finn Balor, the rock and roller himself. And then a Blade Runner, and he gets the win, much to the chagrin of everybody, but it's also Bullet Club's first win at Wrestle Kingdom. So I thought this was a really insane, intense match, but the way I think about it is this. Kota Ibushi, he fought to be in the Tokyo Dome. He fought to be in the main event. He got his dream, but he just didn't capitalize on it. And then you look at the specials match, you're wondering, can he capitalize from this? And he also loses. Honestly, I think Kota Ibushi's dream kind of turned into a nightmare for him. But I'm just saying. Anyway, excuse me. Jay White, though, he said he was going to come out and do a statement, and he did. And then, to follow up on that, what does he do? Another Blade Runner that literally ragdolls Kota Ibushi. And I'm like, oh, good lord, I hope his neck's okay. But you talk about a rough start of the year to Kota Ibushi. He wins the G1, he fails to capitalize on the briefcase, and he loses the following night. I honestly don't know what's next for the Golden Star at this point, or what he needs to do, but this certainly wasn't the start as a whole that I expected, and I believe he truly deserves better. And we all know Jay White. He's going to do everything he can to prove and shove it down our throats why he is the best professional wrestler, period. So we'll have to see what happens from here with New Year's Dash, but I just hope that the Golden Star bounces back. Anyway, which leads us to our special match where we really think about, is the world about to change? Is the forbidden door about to be open? And this was a really fun, amazing match, I must say. It's amazing how dynamic Chris Jericho is. What he lacks in physical capabilities for his body and regimen and all that, drinking too much of the bubbly, a little bit of the bubbly, he makes up for in endless in-ring just fundamentals, psychology, awareness, and character development. No wonder he's the GOAT. So, Hiroshi Tanahashi, the ace of New Japan, he takes on the Painmaker, Chris Jericho, who, I might add, brings in wearing the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. I should probably get one of those myself. Anyway, this match was a lot of mind games at first. As soon as we get into the match, the ace gets the advantage over Chris Jericho and literally mocks his, "Come on, baby!" stance, not once, but twice. This, of course, pissed Jericho off. And Chris Jericho with all the ace with all his best hits, including multiple air guitars from onto the audience. Someone got a nice souvenir. But following this, Jericho pulled off his greatest hits, including Spike DDT, and the ace himself through a table and giving everybody the Winnipeg salute through a much smaller camera. Following this, commentary is taken out for like a good, I believe, like 5-10 minutes, and it was very much organic now. You could just watch the match, be your own commentator, or hear the reaction from the audience themselves. And basically, they traded moves here, as at one point, Chris Jericho tries to pull off the high five flow, crashes and burns, and Tanahashi just smiles. And moving on from there, commentary, they finally come back into play, and towards the middle bit of this match, both men, they exchange dreaded low blows. Not the smartest move. But the ace, he gains advantage with a dragon screw leg whip, but unfortunately he gets locked into the lion tamer for the first time. And we all know the work that's been done on the ace's legs and knees and back. I'm pretty sure that man's been through more surgeries than most people in New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's just amazing he still wrestles. The ace will never die, per se. And again, the ace said if he won, he would cross the forbidden door and go to AEW and challenge for the AEW World Championship, which Chris Jericho, Tony Khan, AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, they all acknowledge, according to the build in the video package. Anyway, as we move forward towards this match, the ace, he gets out of the lion tamer, grits his teeth, makes it to the rope, and he pulls off his high five flow the first time, not enough. He goes for it again later on in the match, and he eats a code breaker. Yes, they still use that. Chris Jericho still uses that. Out of midair. Not enough. Incredible near fall, though. Knee through the table, though, which was brutal, I might add. And towards the end here, Chris Jericho, he gets the advantage of the ace in a very slow, methodical, paced match. And I can't believe I'm literally saying this. He literally taps the ace out. Of all the ways that Chris Jericho could finally win Wrestle Kingdom after losing two times in a row, someone needs to fix the person's stats. I did not expect the ace to tap out. I expected a pinfall, because of course he did go for the Judas effect, couldn't hit that either. And even the ace went for a victory roll, and he couldn't hold it. But no, Chris Jericho wins. So guess what? As far as we know, that forbidden door, it will remain sealed. And the ace of New Japan, with a very bad start to his year, with a nice revamped theme of his Love and Energy theme, I might add, as he taps on Chris Jericho. So here's my thoughts on this. Chris Jericho, he is still AEW Le Champion. They mention AEW, they mention Le Champion, they talk about AEW, they talk about the belt, but the ace lost, so we're not going to get the ace for Chris Jericho for the title anytime soon. Notice I didn't say never, because here's my thoughts on this. You still got Jon Moxley, who's IWGP United States Champion. He's going to probably challenge Minoru Suzuki. But he's also got this storyline going on right now with Chris Jericho and the Inner Circle and AEW. Then you got Chris Jericho, who literally brought the AEW Championship, proper not, and he was welcoming the challenge. Chris Jericho also pointed out in the backstage interview at Dominion last year, hey, maybe he'll enter the G1. What's stopping Chris Jericho from entering the G1 and further building a bridge, per se, to AEW New Japan Pro Wrestling have a working relationship? The bottom line, I think, is this. There are bridges to men. There are things New Japan Pro Wrestling and AEW can't come to agreement upon. But I definitely don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for New Japan Pro Wrestling and AEW to come together and work together. I wouldn't be surprised to see Oriental Wrestling Entertainment getting more involved in New Japan Pro Wrestling through AEW influences. We see how amazing CIMA is. I would love to see a match between, CIMA and Taiji, per se. But I digress. Bottom line, it was a really fun match, and Chris Jericho finally gets his first win at Wrestle Kingdom, which truly surprised me, per se. But honestly, 3 years in a row, that would have been overkill. But in the Ace of New Japan, the thing about the Ace of New Japan and Kota Ibushi, I feel like they're New Japan Pro Wrestling for life. And I feel that they're always going to be, so they're always going to be crowd favorites. But the ace has been established. He's gotten over with the people. He's got a character. Kota needs to find something. I feel like the ace is going to help lead him towards that. Impromptu or not. We'll just have to see what happens. Which leads us into the main event and the headline story behind this entire Wrestle Kingdom event. Double Gold Dash. The Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada, versus Tetsuya Naito. Destino. All or nothing. Or just proving that I am the strongest, greatest IWGP Heavyweight Championship of all time. I don't care about the IC title. Well, this match was a Wrestle Kingdom 12 rematch, and it exceeded previous expectations set by both these men back then. This match had everything, my god. It really didn't pick up until Okada pulls off one of his traditional moves, which is, of course, a drop kick to the face that took Naito into next week. As we move further into the match, you could tell that Okada, he didn't give a damn about Naito and his double gold dash Destino per se, but he did not want to leave anything up to chance because he knows how far Naito can take him and Naito can go. So he literally tries and destroys his knee, takes him to the outside, he implants the knee into the floor, not once but twice, but then he adds further insult to injury. Apologies for the botch earlier, this wouldn't actually happen. And he literally drives the knee of Tetsuya Naito to the loudest boos I heard all night, by the way, through a table. And this gave me an anxiety attack because it was one of the nearest countouts I have seen in New Japan Pro Wrestling in a long time. 19 9/10. He, of course, makes it back in, eats another drop kick out of nowhere, and Okada, he keeps gaining the advantage with a missile drop kick. But then, towards the middle bit of this match went, like, I think for nearly 40 minutes, by the way, Naito pulls off his first Destino. I was super excited for it. He goes for a pin, not enough. And then Okada, he pulls off the spinning Rainmaker. Doesn't go for a fall, but we get the yell, and he goes for another Rainmaker, and he hits it. But not enough to pin Tetsuya Naito, as later on we found out he would go for a pile driver Rainmaker combination. It was not enough. Then he continues working knee. You could sense frustration. You could sense he just wants this to be done. He's not going to risk his title being lost here. He drives the knee not once, but twice, but 3 times. And towards the end, not 1, but 2 more Rainmakers. But it wasn't enough for him. As he tries to go for another, we get Destino wrap up. No. We get that turn into a possible power driver. No. He finally pulls off a Destino again for the another closest near fall of the match. And I thought he finally won. Damn it. No, he didn't. And then Naito, he goes for broke. And this gave me the craziest anxiety attack of the night. As he goes for, basically, if you all know Tetsuya Naito in his past, Stardust press from the top rope with the injured knee. What the hell were you thinking? To another near fall, but it wasn't enough. But it did set up finally the end of this match where Naito, he finally pulls off one last Destino, and he does it. He fulfills his destiny, and wins both IWGP and Intercontinental Championship to the loudest ovation you will hear from the Tokyo Dome. And by the way, that Tokyo Dome crowd was red hot during this entire match. My goodness. It wasn't like your traditional stay quiet during most of it and then pick up. They did not let up for a second, knowing the implications here and how much they wanted Naito to really win this. Anyway, Tetsuya Naito, he wins this. He gets the ovation, he gets the adulation, he gets a mic, and he first off says, Okada, and basically it's like a callback to WrestleMania 12. That was great. Let's do it again sometime. And as Okada's being left out, Okada, he does the fist bump. Respect. An amazing match. Let me just say, first off, thank you, Kazuchika Okada, with everything you've done with the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, trying to elevate New Japan Pro Wrestling, trying to bring pro wrestling to a higher level. And you truly are one of the greatest IWGP Heavyweight Champions of all time. Bar none. Simple as that. But anyway, as Tetsuya Naito goes and talks about, now that I've achieved this, I plan to reshape New Japan Pro Wrestling. Definitely got a lot of things coming, because now we got the top 2 titles counted as one. But the question is, what will happen next? You gotta wait and see. So, before we head out, of course, everybody was waiting for this. The LIJ roll call. He calls the names. Bushi, Evil, Sanada, Shingo, Naito, And as he goes for Los Ingobernables, who the hell comes out to ruin this? Kenta. Wow. You talk about, you think about Jay White being the most hated people in New Japan Pro Wrestling. I think Kenta right now is the most hated person. Because not only did it just give such absolute adulation from Gino Gambino commentary, but it broke Kevin Kelly, and he basically cussed the man out, cursed his name, and the crowd booed the hell out of this as Kenta laid out Naito and prevented the crowd getting that go-home celebration moment. No confetti rain, no closing pyro, no finish up LIJ roll call. Bushi, it came out a little bit too late, and he leads through a very hostile environment. I can only imagine if he made it out of the building. And literally, folks, that was the end of Wrestle Kingdom. That is how they ended the show. So my thoughts are this. Kenta, is he the first to challenge Tetsuya Naito for both these titles after ruining his moment? Is the fact that Naito finally achieved this, does that remove the stink that he has from what happened to him 7 years ago surrounding the Intercontinental title per se? Does he finally feel accomplished and fulfilled? Third, what is next now that Bullet Club basically lost everything, but they did make a statement in the end? Is this building towards something bigger? Is there internal deception among the ranks happening? Is God looking at the leader of Bullet Club and thinking, maybe something should change? There are a few theories that my friends thrown out to me, including but not limited to Tetsuya Naito handing off the title to Sonata, because as of right now, Sonata's the only one in LIJ without gold. Think about that. He's the only one without gold and had probably the best year in 2019 out of all of them, besides Shingo Takagi. That's kind of ironic. And then you think about the fact that Okada, he no longer is IWGP Heavyweight Champion. If he wants to become the champ again, he has to accept the fact right now, not only would he be challenging for the title that truly matters to him, that he holds as the greatest title in all of professional wrestling, he would have to challenge for Intercontinental as well. First time ever. Will he do that? And what's next for the Rainmaker, considering he's going to carry the torch for the Olympics and has literally done everything he can? I honestly don't know, but I'm very curious to see what happens. And then Will Ospreay, he's also an indifferent after this event, losing to Hiromu Takahashi. He doesn't know what's next for him, but posted on Instagram, sad pig, so there's a lot of questions yet to be answered. But again, Wrestle Kingdom, it's basically the first episode in the year New Japan Pro Wrestling for 2020. New Year's Dash is the epilogue. And again, as we will learn at bell time, we will see what the year holds. But there's already been some great teasers of things to come. But with that being said, no matter what people say, from the moments, to the matches, to the surprises, to the action, Wrestle Kingdom 14 in its entirety averaged A for me. It was just a superb show, top to bottom. And think about this. 2 nights, over 5 hours of professional wrestling each, over 10 hours of professional wrestling on nearly 20 matches as a whole. And I don't feel tired. I feel like it worked perfectly when I consider what happened in the other company at their highlight show, and I got burnt out halfway through. I honestly don't know if they will do this going forward, as New Japan Wrestling constantly tries to change the game, but I am burnt out, and honestly I hope they don't, because oh my gosh, this was a lot of pro wrestling for one weekend. But with that being said, Kenta, he got his stuff in. We'll see what happens. Would Kenta try to become leader of Bullet Club? What is Kenta's endgame here? Was this what Bullet Club was planning to do the entire time? We have to see what happens. And what is going on within JY, showing how much desperation he had to do with Kota Ibushi? Is he finally breaking down internally? I don't know. There's a lot of questions left to be answered, and I feel like a lot of changes coming to New Japan Pro Wrestling within the factions themselves to start with. But with that being said, Wrestle Kingdom was an A show for me. It was superb. Loved it top to bottom both days, and thank you, Liger. With that being said, what were your thoughts on Wrestle Kingdom? What was your favorite match? What was your favorite moment? What surprised you the most? Any questions you have regarding the future of anybody in New Japan Pro Wrestling? I'd love to hear you. Let me know. Please let me know in the comments down below. But if you want to know more about me, and thank you for tuning into this video, know this. I'm just a simple man. And if you haven't figured it out by now, I am a lifelong fan of wrestling. Not just sports entertainment. Wrestling in all its forms. So if you want to talk to me about anything, the 5 brands of WWE, or New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is my number one, simple as that, AEW, Ring of Honor, Impact, New Japan, I already said New Japan, excuse me, Botch, Stardom, the NWA, and Independent Wrestling, Sport Pro Wrestling, folks, and more. Look me up on Twitter, NoDQ.com/Noah takes you to my Twitter page, or follow me on Instagram, hashtag SimpleManInLife, on Instagram at InFoster1916. I'll give you a nice hello. Food intakes, as well as wrestling moments, stories, and simple moments in my stories every week. Just a nice, fun, welcoming personality. That's all I want to be here. Also, please follow my simple YouTube channel here, youtube.com/user/NoahFoster210. You'll find all sorts of wrestling content on here, a nice, neat, organized playlist for you. New content uploaded every week. At the heart of it is my series, hashtag 205 Life Matters, where I review the Cruiserweight division, then, now, and forever with my good friend, the Holiday Chris Mace. Please follow his channel as well. And we will be doing a new episode, I believe, later today. It is currently Sunday, January the 5th, 6:22 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But also, if you haven't figured it out by now, support NoDQ. That's the reason I'm in YouTube. Forever and dead to the NoDQ family. Thank you, Aaron, Riff, and company. Go buy a shirt. Go buy merch. That's my shirt over there in the corner, you see. It's hard to figure out the camera angles here. Still learning the setup, folks. Bear with me. Tapestry, stickers, just do it. NoDQ.com/mercy the store. Follow NoDQ on all your social media platforms. Your opinions matter. There's a comment section of everything. Polls, columns, memes, gifts, reviews, recaps, polls, sexy female pics, reviews. It's all there. Primarily WWE with a little bit of AEW and independent wrestling. Stay tuned, as I will be working with Aftermatch Wrestling, a subdivision of Team NoDQ for the NXT team, as we will be predicting NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool 2. I will also be doing an Expedition, Simply Predicting Wrestling video on Impact Wrestling Hard to Kill. Also, I will be doing, once again, a simple extra with New Year's Dash, and a simple take after New Year's Dash goes, as it sets the pace for New Japan Pro Wrestling, at least for going into the New Beginning Tour in February. And shout out to everybody that participated in the Team NoDQ Predictions League. Are you a fan of Independent Wrestling, NWA, Ring of Honor, Impact Wrestling, and New Japan Pro Wrestling? Join us, will you? For fun, predictions, and talks in Team NoDQ. Just reach out to one of us. We'll see if you, make the cut. But anyway, as far as Team NoDQ go, it was an amazing league, and I'm happy to say that, hey, I won via the tiebreaker. So thank you to everybody that participated. The final scores was as follows. Cash, you got 8. Cindy, you got 11. Follow all my friends, by the way, folks. Instagram, YouTube channels, they all have that. I had 12, but one via tiebreaker because I guessed that show would pin ELP. Chris Willis, you had 10. Chris Mace, you had 10. James Hubert, you had 8. Mark Reviews, you had 12, but you lost out because you said Yo would pin ELP. I beat you by one tiebreaker. Good game and incredible event, folks. And as always, I like to close. Support your wrestling outlets, both big and small. Let's keep growing this incredible, diverse, unique, elite wrestling community together. Simple as that. With that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, hit that bell to know when the next video is going to go live. Hit the subscribe button to know and support me in this fun little endeavor where I'm just a simple content creator for a passion in wrestling. Simple as that. But until the next video, take care, enjoy life, treasure your families. Tomorrow's never guaranteed. Find wrestling that you can enjoy. Be a part of this incredible community. I've been a part of it for a year, and I have no regrets. I've met so many wonderful, incredible people and worked with them too. And there'll be other series that I'll be part of this year as well, including the Real Wrestling Podcast and the Wednesday Night War Roundup with my good friend Eric. Go follow him at eReality Entertainment. I might also do some stuff with the Wrestling Rundown. I'm also doing stuff with the Colin Cleaver Andrew on his new show, What's the Beef? So whether I'm here on my YouTube channel, somewhere else in cyberspace, take care. And until the next video, I am going to sleep because I have church in less than 2 hours. I hope you all have a good night. What an incredible start to this year in professional wrestling. Thank you, New Japan Pro Wrestling and Wrestle Kingdom 14. Goodbye, everybody.